Chapter 1721. After a long time, Xiaochen put away the dragon pattern cauldron. Then, he entered deep thought as he looked at the flower basket in his hand. The exterior of the flower basket was exquisite, adorned with all sorts of flowers. Aside from its pretty appearance, there was nothing special about it. However, when Xiaochen saw the wonders of the flower basket in the Smiling Daughter Pavilion, he naturally would not treat it as an ordinary flower basket. However, it seemed that its miraculous effect was only a decoration. It looked incredibly gorgeous, filled with flowers, and powerful sword dances. These were all things that tempted profligates to throw money at. Some looked impressive, but they were useless. If they were really useful, Jiang He would not have casually tossed them to Xiaochen. Could there be spirit jades in there? I better not think about it. Even if there were, Jiang He would have taken them all. Why would he leave them for me? Never mind, I should refine it first. No matter what, it is a Tao tool, after all. When Xiaochen sent his spiritual sense into the flower basket, he immediately felt the world spin around him as if he had entered a maze. Countless exquisite screens were placed in the middle, crisscrossing and looking incredibly complicated. No matter how Xiaochen tried, he could not get out, completely trapped inside. After some thought, Xiaochen increased the strength of his spiritual sense and sent in some soul energy. Xiaochen prepared to force his way through. Rumble. Xiaochen crashed into the screens, breaking one after another. However, the result was that he sank deeper and deeper. It was like there was no end to it. How troublesome. Xiaochen lost his patience, and his spiritual sense directly exploded. Rumble. The entire maze shattered. The screens shattered into pieces like glass and floated in the air. Xiaochen revealed a smile on his face. However, before his smile could spread out, it froze. With a whoosh, all the screen fragments reassembled, turning into a brand new maze that was even larger and more complicated. The more problematic thing was that Xiaochen discovered that he could not pull out this portion of his spiritual sense. Xiaochen was completely trapped inside. He could only escape if he severed it. However, this was Xiaochen's spiritual sense, which involved soul energy. If he severed it, his soul would be affected. Damn it, this is bad. No wonder Jiang He was not greedy. It turned out that Xiaochen already knew that unless he possessed the strength of a Cloud Sea Star Venerate, he would not be able to forcefully break out of this maze and obtain control over this flower basket. It was just a decoration in his hand, completely useless. It couldn't even bring out those mysterious phenomena. What should he do? Xiaochen fell into a dilemma. He could either sever his divine sense and accept his bad luck and suffer the damage to his soul. At the very least, his life wouldn't be in danger. Or he could continue walking and solve this maze. Hesitation was not Xiaochen's character. He immediately made a decision. Xiaochen cut off his spiritual sense and retreated. Face pale and dizzy, Xiaochen's body swayed for a while. He closed his eyes and covered his head. After resting for a while, Xiaochen barely regained some energy. However, the damage to his soul would require several days to recover. Looking at the flower basket, he smiled bitterly. Before Jiang He left, he had left a hole for himself. He was indeed a very interesting person. He seemed carefree and always had a smile on his face. In reality, he was extremely proud in his heart, unwilling to admit defeat. He was bold but careful. However, Xiaochen did not hate Jiang He, not even close to hating Jiang He. The relationship between the two was more like that of opponents. Jiang He could sense the saber intent in Xiaochen's body and confirm his identity as a bladesman. Jiang He was also present. He immediately saw through the saber intent that the other party hid. Before a true bladesman, that sharpness could not be hidden. When two true bladesmen fought, they would definitely have a competitive mentality. Neither would be willing to admit defeat. While the two did not seem to have any conflicts, in reality, they had clashed more than once. In the Soaring Dragon Pavilion, they could be considered to have fought once. Xiao Qin caused the other party to suffer a loss, and the other party even treated him to a drink. In the Smiling Daughter Pavilion, Jiang He stole the fairy basket without anyone noticing, turning the tables on Xiao Qin. Earlier, when the two fought the three, they had purposely held back, wanting to see who would reveal their true trump card in the end. However, neither of them revealed their trump cards, so it was a draw. Like you, I also look forward to meeting you again, whether I attack you or not. A smile appeared on Xiao Chen's face. Then, he put away the fairy basket and returned to the city to look for Ling Yu. In the Smiling Daughter Pavilion, when Xiao Qin returned, the place was already deserted, no longer as bustling as before. Xiao Qin, who knew the reason, was not surprised. After reporting, he found Ling Yu happily drinking tea in a private room. "Martial uncle, why are you back?" When Ling Yu saw Xiao Qin, he felt greatly startled. Xiao Qin smiled and said, "After escaping that group of people, I was afraid that you would worry about me, so I came back to meet you and say goodbye." "Goodbye?" Ling Yu felt somewhat shocked. "Martial uncle, you are not returning to the Purple Flame sect?" Xiao Qin nodded. "That's right. I plan to remain in the Soaring Dragon Great Realm for a while before returning to the Grave Sea." "How long?" "Maybe half a year, maybe 1 year." Ling Yu felt disappointed. However, he understood. His martial uncle's cultivation had reached a bottleneck. It was time for him to go out on experiential training. Furthermore, this Soaring Dragon Great Realm was filled with experts. The truly incredible people of the dozens of astral zones were all here. With martial uncle's strength, this was the most suitable place for experiential training. The Grave Sea was rather small. Ling Yu thought of something, and his expression changed slightly. "Oh, right. Martial uncle, something major happened in the Smiling Daughter Pavilion." "Oh. What major matter?" Xiao Qin asked despite knowing the answer. Ling Yu whispered, "Their fairy basket disappeared. That fairy basket is extremely precious. Without that flower basket, the Smiling Daughter Pavilion cannot continue operating. They need to wait for the headquarters to send a new fairy basket. However, the refinement of the fairy basket is extremely complicated. There are many steps and takes a long time. This Soaring Dragon City's Smiling Daughter Pavilion probably can't continue operating." Ripples appeared in Xiao Chen's heart, but he did not show it on his face. Unexpectedly, the matter blew up so much. However, it was impossible for Xiao Qin to hand over the fairy basket. Xiao Qin kept feeling that this fairy basket still had some mysteries and great value. In any case, it would not be traced back to him. Xiao Qin asked softly, "Are there any clues?" "Who stole it?" Ling Yu shook her head and replied, "No. The person who did it did not leave any traces. This is simply strange. Right now, they suspect that a holy venerate did something to it. After all, this Smiling Daughter Pavilion has a Cloud Sea Star venerate guarding it." Xiao Qin smiled in his heart. This is a grave mistake. That fellow, Jiang He, could even steal the dragon race's treasure. Furthermore, the Smiling Daughter Pavilion's fairy basket was a treasure of the dragon race. There were peak dragon race experts guarding it, at least sovereign personages. "Sorry, there was some chaos in the Smiling Daughter Pavilion, so I did not receive young Master Xiao personally." As Ling Yu spoke, headliner Ling Long walked in with an apologetic expression on her face. Xiao Qin felt embarrassed in his heart. Such sincerity made him feel somewhat embarrassed. However, he definitely could not expose himself now. Xiao Qin nodded and said, "It's fine. I heard from Ling Yu that Miss Ling Long has any plans." Ling Long smiled bitterly and replied, "What plans can I have? Naturally, I will return to the imperial capital. One cannot do as one pleases in the mundane world." When Ling Yu heard that, he could not help saying, "Miss Ling Long, how about returning to the Purple Flame sect with me? Given Miss Ling Long's talent, you can definitely become a true inheritor." When Xiao Qin heard that, he could not help thinking, she is already used to the bustling world. How can she endure loneliness? In the end, my little martial nephew is still young and does not understand the ways of the world. Ling Long did not deny that. Instead, she smiled at Ling Yu and said, "Thank you, young Master Ling, for your kind intentions. In the future, if I no longer have a place to stay in the Smiling Daughter Pavilion, I will definitely remember young Master Ling's words." Ling Yu smiled and said, "No problem. Earlier, Miss Ling Long made arrangements for me without hesitation. Naturally, I, Ling Yu, will do as I say." Ling Long smiled faintly before saying, "I would like to speak with young Master Xiao alone." Ling Yu glanced at his martial uncle curiously before retreating as he was told. After Ling Yu left, Ling Long's expression changed slightly. Then, she asked directly, "Your friend stole that fairy basket, right?" Xiao Chen's expression did not change, not revealing anything. He looked at Ling Long and asked, "Why do you say that?" "It is just a suspicion. The time he left was too coincidental. It happened to be when the fairy basket was stolen." Ling Long said sullenly, "Don't worry. I did not tell anyone. No one would believe that a major primal core venerate would steal the fairy basket." Xiao Chen felt surprised. "Why?" Ling Long replied softly, "To me, there is no loss. Furthermore, I sincerely treat young Master Xiao and young Master Ling as friends. I do not want the two of you to get into trouble." Xiao Chen felt warmth in his heart. No matter what, as long as Ling Long voiced her suspicions, the Smiling Daughter Pavilion would definitely question him. The Smiling Daughter Pavilion would definitely question him. That would be troublesome. "Many thanks." "You're welcome. If we are fated, we will meet again in the Yanwu dynasty's capital." Ling Long bowed and left. As Xiao Chen watched the other party leave, he entered deep thought. After Ling Yu entered, he asked, "Martial uncle, what did Miss Ling Long ask you?" Xiao Chen did not answer the question. "Do you like this girl?" Ling Yu immediately blushed. "Martial uncle, why do you ask that?" Xiao Chen smiled faintly and replied, "Because even a fool can tell that if you like her, you should marry her. Miss Ling Long is a good person." Chapter 1722. When Ling Yu heard Xiao Chen's words, he asked somewhat embarrassedly, "Martial uncle, can I?" That Miss Ling Long had seen many marquises and Holy Gate outstanding talents in the royal dynasty's capital, but none of them had moved her heart. "I'm just a core disciple of a small fourth-grade sect. How could I be worthy of her?" There was one more thing that Ling Long did not say. What was even more awkward was that although this Ling Long did not reveal herself, her cultivation was even higher than Ling Yu's. Xiao Chen said with a straight face, "How old are you?" "You're only in your 20s. Life is like a blank piece of paper, filled with endless possibilities. But if you don't even dare to think about it, then it's really impossible. How could senior brother have such a disciple?" Ling Yu felt somewhat powerless to argue. "Martial uncle, but Xiao Chen said softly, "there are no buts or buts. If you don't have the determination, then give up on this thought as soon as possible. If you have the intention, why can't you set this as your goal? You can make your own decision." Everything about Ling Yu was good. However, he was somewhat indecisive and lacked boldness. His innate bloodline was not inferior to anyone. As long as he was willing to work hard, anything was possible in the future. Otherwise, why would Yi Zifeng accept him as his disciple? "Martial uncle, I've decided. I'll go see Miss Ling Long now and have her wait for me in the imperial capital for 5 years. If she gives me this chance, I will work hard and live up to the 5 years she gave me. If you don't give it to me, I'll give up on this thought." Ling Yu hesitated for a long time before finally making up his mind. He knew that his martial uncle was doing this for his sake. If one does not act decisively, one will fall into chaos. However, as Xiao Chen watched Ling Yu turn around and leave, he smiled faintly. He did not believe that Ling Yu truly had the guts to say that to his face. However, he couldn't care too much about this matter. He could only wish him good luck. Indeed, it was as Xiao Chen expected. When Ling Yu saw Ling Long in his hot-bloodedness, he was instantly defeated by one look from the other party. "Young Master Ling, why are you looking for me?" Ling Long blinked as she looked at Ling Yu with a serious expression. Ling Yu immediately calmed down, not daring to look straight at Xiao Chen. However, he felt incredibly anxious in his heart. He did not know how to say the words that he had prepared many times. The words were at the tip of his tongue, but he couldn't say them. An awkward expression appeared on his face, and he did not know what to do. After holding it in for a long time, Ling Yu could not think of anything to say. Seeing that he had to say something, he racked his brains and said, "Miss Ling Long, I wish to learn the pipa from you." The moment Ling Yu said that, he showed an embarrassed expression. He wished that he could find a hole in the ground and hide in it. Ling Long's eyes widened. She was stunned for a moment before she burst into laughter. What kind of man would want to learn the pipa? Ling Yu immediately felt disappointed. He was still too much of a failure. Compared to his martial uncle, he was far inferior. He did not even have the courage to speak. But just as he was about to say his goodbyes, headliner Ling Long smiled and said, "However, the Smiling Daughter Pavilion is closed for this period. I happen to be free, so I will not rush to the imperial capital. Young Master Ling Yu, if you are interested, I can give you some guidance." This was simply joy falling from the sky. Ling Yu's wooden head was stunned for a moment before he reacted, feeling incredibly joyful. "Thank you, Miss Ling Long. I'll go buy a pipa now." Overjoyed, she ran out and told Xiao Chen what had happened. She couldn't hide the smile on her face. Xiao Chen did not know why Ling Yu was so happy. However, as long as his martial nephew was happy, that was enough. In that case, congratulations. You can stay in the Smiling Daughter Pavilion for this period. I'll find another place to cultivate for a while. Don't forget to cultivate as well. Xiao Chen patted Ling Yu's shoulder and took his leave. After renting an independent courtyard in Heaven Dragon City, Xiao Chen started his preparations to upgrade the Heavenly Flame. Xiao Chen casually waved his hand, and the dragon pattern cauldron landed heavily on the ground. As he looked at the dragon pattern cauldron that Lu Ruyue used, a determined expression flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. The words that Xiao Chen said to Ling Yu earlier were also meant for himself. If Xiao Chen had not made up his mind, he would have given up now. After making up my mind, I will never change it. As long as you are still around, I will not abandon you. Lu Ruyue was an outstanding talent, charming and charming. The dragon god crown prince fell head over heels for her, but she remained unmoved. Lu Ruyue's position in the dragon race put some pressure on Xiao Chen. However, it also strengthened his resolve. He needed sufficient capital before he could enter the central Great Realm and head to Ancestor Dragon City. If he was not strong enough, even if Lu Ruyue did not abandon him, he would feel very uncomfortable. The pride in Xiao Chen's heart did not allow him to compromise. Xiao Chen shook his head and tossed aside these distracting thoughts. Then, he threw a palm strike, and the heavenly flame entered the cauldron. Boom! The heavenly flame burned fiercely. It seemed like Lu Ruyue's face appeared in the flame, making one think about her and think about her. Xiao Chen exhaled softly. Then, he placed the dazzling sunlight true flame into the cauldron. Whoosh! Although the dazzling sunlight true flame was of a high rank, it was much weaker than the heavenly flame. The dazzling sunlight true flame looked very mighty. However, it could not cause much of a stir before the heavenly flame. The dazzling sunlight true flame flopped around a few times before dying in the cauldron, slowly being swallowed up by the heavenly flame. Xiao Chen firmly controlled the heavenly flame with his mind, slowly swallowing the dazzling sunlight true flame. After half a day, the heavenly flame, which had been crying piteously for food, finished swallowing the dazzling sunlight true flame. The blazing heavenly flame gathered into one spot. Only a light came from the dragon pattern cauldron, shining golden and dazzling. Boom! Just as Xiao Chen felt suspicious, the spot of heavenly flame suddenly expanded and burned intensely. A terrifying heat wave surged out, and the air in the surroundings turned dry. The flowers, grass, and trees in the courtyard turned scorched yellow. The ground cracked, and cracks appeared. It's rank 1. Xiao Chen's face lit up in joy. The heavenly flame's origin flame finally broke free from its primitive state. Relying on the nourishment of the dazzling sunlight true flame, it reached the limits of rank 1. In that case, I'll add some more fire. Xiao Chen did not hesitate to send the purple thunder true flame from the purple thunder divine incantation into the cauldron. The electric flame gathered and turned into a beam of light that continuously poured into the cauldron. The rank 1 heavenly flame immediately blazed even more fiercely. In the dark night, a strand of golden radiance could be seen rushing into the sky, illuminating the surroundings and making everything bright. Fortunately, there were all sorts of strange things happening in Soaring Dragon City. Experts were everywhere. Occasionally, there would be some mysterious phenomena. For example, some outstanding talents cultivating in closed-door cultivation, some old monsters refining medicinal pills, and some experts refining weapons. The mysterious phenomena in the courtyard had not reached a world-shaking level yet, so it did not attract much attention. Xiao Chen lit up 5 stars on his 9-star primal core, looking resplendent. The purple thunder divine incantation circulated wildly, continuously draining his veritable essence energy, turning it into the purple thunder true flame and sending it into the cauldron. With Xiao Chen's vast cultivation, he managed to force the absorption of the purple thunder true flame into the cauldron for 1 hour. After that, there was a loud boom, and the flame in the cauldron shrank back to a spot. Having experienced this before, Xiao Chen did not dare to rest. He stretched out his hand and formed a barrier, preventing the heavenly flame from causing too much damage. Boom! In an instant, the barrier was burnt to a crisp by the explosion of heavenly fire. Everything that could burn in the courtyard started burning at the same time. The entire building started giving off smoke. When Xiao Chen saw the situation, he was startled. All the buildings had restrictions. If they were triggered, it would definitely cause a huge shock wave. Heavenly Snow Divine Flame. Xiao Chen stretched out his hand, and a suffocating cold surged out, instantly sealing the heat waves in ice. Pure white snowflakes drifted down from the burning courtyard. In one breath of time, they turned into ice, filling the place with frost. It's rank 2 now. Xiao Chen muttered to himself as he looked at the heavenly flame in the cauldron. However, he did not show much joy on his face. Originally, Xiao Chen had expected to be able to break through to rank 3. Now, it looked like the heavenly snow divine flame completely suppressed the heavenly flame. Yin and Yang could not balance. He definitely could not form the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram. In the end, it was all for naught. After withdrawing the heavenly flame, Xiao Chen frowned heavily. He entered deep thought and muttered, "It looks like I can only think of another way. Perhaps there would be such an opportunity in the Dragon Flame ancient land." The moment Xiao Chen heard the name, he knew that it had something to do with fire. However, there was no need to go now. There were more important things to do. The greatest use of the dragon pattern cauldron was not for the heavenly flame to consume flames. It was for Xiao Chen to cultivate the dragon race's body tempering cultivation technique. The divine dragon body tempering art that the blood-soaked dragon emperor gave Xiao Chen needed a good cauldron. A dragon race cauldron would be even better. Back when Xiao Chen bought the dragon pattern cauldron, one of his main considerations was to cultivate this divine dragon body tempering art. Chapter 1723. Divine Dragon Body Tempering Art. There were a total of 9 layers. Not only did they cultivate vital qi, but they also remolded their physical bodies to that of the ancient dragon clan. This allowed the fleshly body to reach the physical strength of the ancient dragon race, possessing a strong bloodline, a terrifying defense, and a resilient physique. The first layer was to cultivate the dragon tendons, making the meridians as strong as the real dragon tendons. That way, they would be able to withstand more vital qi surging through the meridians. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to use his powerful vital qi. Xiao Chen knew that using vital qi harmed the body. Back in the Kunlun realm, he had damaged his body, resulting in a huge hidden danger. The body and bones were always the foundation of a martial artist. They could be tempered and risk their lives, but they absolutely could not leave behind any hidden injuries. The second level was to cultivate the dragon bone, which was to cultivate the bones of one's entire body to resemble the bones of a dragon. The skeleton was the main frame of the fleshly body. It was also the main protective layer of the 5 viscera and 6 bowels. As long as the skeleton was injured, the heart, liver, gallbladder, spleen, and other important parts of the body could be further injured. Although after becoming a perfected being, one would no longer have a mortal body and the recovery ability of one's physical body would be very strong. It could even reach the stage of regrowing severed limbs. However, if the heart was instantly crushed, it could still cause fatal damage to the cultivator. After all, it was impossible to grow a new heart without a few months. Of course, there were some special cultivation techniques that could reconstruct the heart in a short period of time. However, there were only a few of them. These kinds of cultivation techniques were also quite rare, and ordinary martial artists could not buy them at all. By cultivating the divine dragon body tempering art's second layer, one could modify their bones, making their bones as strong as the ancient dragon races. It could allow a martial artist to withstand more damage and protect their internal organs from fatal injuries. The third layer was the cultivation of dragon blood. Only with this layer could one be considered to have reached the next level and officially begin to cultivate qi. As the saying goes, qi and blood boil, qi and blood are inseparable, and there is vitality in the blood. Bloodlines were the source of energy, especially after awakening the blue dragon bloodline, he could take advantage of this point. To any cultivator with a great desolate Aeon bloodline, the power of their bloodline would forever be an inexhaustible treasure trove. They would not give up on any method to develop their bloodline power. Any natural treasure that could unearth the potential of one's bloodline would be sold for an astronomical price. This was the reason why the life juice source was so revered. There was a total of 6 more layers. They were all in Xiao Chen's mind, personally passed down by the blood-soaked dragon emperor. With just a thought, all sorts of information about the divine dragon body tempering art would appear in his mind. If one wanted to cultivate the divine dragon body tempering art, one needed a cauldron, an ancient cauldron. In ancient times, cauldrons were revered. They sought to conquer the world, and the cauldron stood on the ground. One had to observe its form, feel its meaning, and comprehend its soul. Xiao Chen sat cross-legged. His eyes lit up as he looked at the dragon pattern cauldron. The dragon pattern cauldron was a square cauldron with 4 legs. It was squarish and had sharp edges. The surface of the cauldron was painted with vivid and lifelike dragon patterns. Upon closer inspection, one would discover that it was a dragon swimming within the cauldron. The dragon pattern cauldron that came from the dragon clan was indeed more suitable for Xiao Chen. Not long after, he felt the will of the real dragon in the cauldron. The image of a primordial true dragon appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. It soared through the clouds and stirred up the rain. As it breathed, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The might of a primordial true dragon imprinted itself in Xiao Chen's mind, inspiring a desire to worship it and not to profane its divine might. Xiao Chen calmed his mind and meditated on its soul, comprehending its spirit. Soon, he entered a state where he forgot about himself and the world. That was the will of an ancient true dragon. The will of an primordial true dragon imprinted itself in the depths of Xiao Chen's mind and wandered about freely. Without Xiao Chen noticing, the dragon pattern cauldron had already merged into his body without him noticing. The sky was above, and the earth was below. There was an insurmountable chasm between heaven and earth. Xiao Chen used his body as the cauldron and the dragon's soul as the will, connecting the sky above and the earth below. The cauldron stood between heaven and earth, connecting heaven and earth, merging into one. The power of heaven and the power of earth merged into the dragon pattern cauldron. After the dragon pattern cauldron modified it, it turned into dragon energy that flowed in Xiao Chen's body. At this moment, the first layer of the divine dragon body tempering art circulated naturally. Under the modification of the dragon energy, the meridians in Xiao Chen's body slowly changed. Because Xiaochen had already condensed the blue dragon war body long ago, he did not have a follow-up cultivation technique and had been stuck at a standstill. Now that Xiaochen formally cultivated the divine dragon body tempering art, it went very smoothly, practically without any obstacles. In merely 4 hours, the pure dragon energy formed by the might of heaven and earth circulated a minor cycle in Xiaochen's body. Half a day later, Xiaochen had completed 18 minor cycles. 3 days later, he successfully completed a major cycle. Xiaochen heaved a sigh of relief and slowly opened his eyes. He felt comfortable all over, and his meridians felt strong and powerful. He clenched his fist and gathered 4 cauldron force in his body. Xiaochen flicked his finger, and 4 cauldron force gathered at his fingertip. Buzz! Space trembled, and the dust on the surfaces of all the objects in the courtyard fell off. Whoosh! 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 It was like fine snow had fallen, spreading everywhere. A spiral-shaped ripple spread out from where Xiaochen's fingertip touched, dissipating in waves. Xiaochen felt some pain in his meridians. Bursting out 4 cauldron force at his fingertip within a short time was somewhat unbearable. However, this was already a great improvement. In the past, Xiaochen would not have dared to use 4 cauldron force so crazily, erupting it in an instant. Then, Xiaochen closed his eyes and sat down cross-legged, continuing to cultivate. 1 month later, Xiaochen opened his eyes again. He had succeeded in cultivating the divine dragon body tempering art's first layer. Next up was continuous accumulation. As Xiaochen's cultivation increased, his dragon veins would improve as well. Right now, the meridians in his body had undergone a complete transformation, turning into dragon veins. Furthermore, he had unexpectedly gained 1 cauldron force. Xiaochen's total vital qi improved further, reaching 5 cauldron force. With a gentle tap, he could make 5 cauldron force explode at the same time. Explode! Suddenly, Xiaochen shouted and pointed. 5 ancient cauldrons appeared above his head, and the energy at his fingertip instantly exploded. Boom! Vital qi burst out. Everything that stood in front of Xiaochen's line of sight turned into dust. When the wind blew, it disappeared without a trace. Not only did the meridians not feel any pain, but they also moved with ease, far from reaching their limits. Xiaochen entered deep thought. He felt that it was somewhat wasteful to use only 5 cauldron force in these meridians. Could I use the sharp spirit finger like I did in the Kunlun realm to merge my veritable essence energy into my vital qi? The primordial energy in the Kunlun realm was far from comparable to the veritable essence energy that could burst out after the primal core was formed through the harmonization of yin and yang. Furthermore, what Xiaochen condensed was a 9-star primal core. His veritable essence energy was even denser and denser. After thinking hard for a while, Xiaochen entered closed-door cultivation again. After lighting up 5 stars on the 9-star primal core, it is already equal to the veritable essence energy of a peak major primal core cultivator. If I gather all my veritable essence energy into one spot, the destructive power would be no weaker than 5 cauldron force. Xiaochen was somewhat worried that his newly transformed dragon veins would not be able to endure it. The more important thing was that once he executed the sharp spirit finger, he would use all his vital qi and veritable essence energy, leaving nothing behind. The explosive power was not as simple as 1 + 1. Instead, it was multiplied. Xiaochen pondered the pros and cons. If the dragon tendon was damaged, it would be very difficult to recover. The gains did not make up for the losses. Actually, using the sharp spirit finger to attack was not worth it. Once executed, it would drain veritable essence energy and vital qi for a short time. This was his trump card. If the enemy did not die, he would be the one to die. Therefore, after Xiaochen learned the sharp spirit finger, he rarely used it. Because he didn't like to put himself in a hopeless situation. After executing the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber techniques breaking the mundane and resolving the mundane, Xiaochen did not end up in such a sorry state. The efficiency of the sharp spirit finger was too low. It was of little value. It was useless, and there were not many chances for it to be used. Once it was used, it meant that Xiaoqin had to fight with his life on the line, and he was already in a desperate situation. It would be a pity to abandon it, but it was still a killing move that could give him a chance to survive in a desperate situation. Could he modify it and turn it into a more efficient conventional move? As soon as he thought about it, he couldn't stop it. In the end, after thousands or tens of thousands of attempts, he failed. I keep thinking of using the sharp spirit finger to attack. Why have I never thought of using it for defense? With a change of thought, all sorts of ideas appeared. This made Xiaoqian, who was somewhat numb to failure, excited again. My defensive means are limited in the first place. I can't condense my strongest defensive martial technique, the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram, for now. Indeed, I need a defensive martial technique that I can use more frequently. How should I modify it? Xiaoqian thought hard. However, he rejected all sorts of ideas. Just when he felt that he had run out of ideas, Xiaoqian glanced around and saw the dragon pattern cauldron on the ground in front. The cauldron stood on 4 legs, not moving at all. Just this simple cauldron's existence gave off a Tao, making one think deeply about it. Xiaoqian revealed a smile on his face. Cauldrons are revered, cauldrons are precious. Cauldrons stand tall and seek the world. The wisdom of the ancients is actually all concentrated on this seemingly simple cauldron. To think that I ignored such a good reference before me. I am really stupid. No matter how strong the wind was or where it came from, the cauldron did not move at all, looking as majestic as a mountain. However, it was even more majestic than a mountain, more vivid and simpler. This was how the great Tao was simple. Why don't I use my body as a cauldron, my head supporting the sky and my feet standing on the ground? When the sky changes color and the wind blows in all directions, I will remain unmoving. Watching the wind rise and clouds churn, listening to the surging waves, remaining unchanged to deal with all changes. After finding his direction, Xiaoqian entered closed-door cultivation again. This time, his thoughts became clearer and more lively. In a mere 7 days, he had thought clearly about how to change the sharp spirit finger. Xiaoqian stood up and silently circulated his energy for the sharp spirit finger. His vital qi surged, and 5 ancient cauldrons appeared above his head. 5 stars lit up on his 9-star primal core, and he drove all his veritable essence energy. Veritable essence energy and vital qi merged. Immediately, a strong aura burst out of Xiaoqian's body, equal to that of a peak major primal core realm cultivator and infinitely close to that of a star venerate. However, the energy did not flow to his fingertip. Instead, it poured into his entire body, freezing him like an ancient cauldron. His entire body, including his blood, froze. As his aura spread out, it even affected the surrounding space, freezing it completely. It was like time stopped flowing. At this moment, not a single strand of Xiaoqian's hair moved. In the courtyard, Xiaoqian looked very foolish. However, at this moment, even a star venerate would not be able to knock him back. Scatter. Such a situation could not last for long. Xiaoqian held 2 fingers together and gently waved them. The frozen space immediately broke, and cracks appeared on the ground. In the next moment, countless pieces of cracked soil soared into the air. Chapter 1724. Using the body as a cauldron, the ultimate skill was reborn. The sharp spirit finger had obtained a new application method. It had changed from an offense to a defense. Furthermore, he managed to make use of the newly grown dragon veins in his body. After cultivating in seclusion for 2 months, he had indeed gained a lot. When Xiaoqian saw this, he revealed a smile. However, such a commotion is too great. It will waste a lot of quintessence and vital qi. I have to properly sculpt it, or else I won't be able to use it frequently. Xiaoqian was very satisfied with the new sharp spirit finger. With this consummate skill, he would be able to face strong enemies much more easily in the future. After cultivating in seclusion for another month and concentrating on cultivating the new telepathic finger, Xiaoqian finally stepped out of the dilapidated courtyard gate. After leaving the room, Xiaoqin started to inquire about the Dragon Flame Ancient Land. Before entering closed-door cultivation, Xiaoqin had already made up his mind to go to the Dragon Flame Ancient Land next. Cultivating in closed-door cultivation was mostly to prepare for the Dragon Flame Ancient Land. He still didn't know what kind of dangers there would be, so it was undoubtedly better to strengthen his strength in advance and make sufficient preparations. There were many places in the city where one could ask for information. The Dragon Flame Ancient Land was not a secret forbidden land. Xiaoqin spent some spirit jades and quickly obtained the information he wanted. Before he finished looking, he left the city, preparing to rush to the Dragon Flame Ancient Land. Along the way, he sensed a few weak auras staring at him, not letting go. He had hidden himself very well, but his spiritual sense was sharp, so he had still discovered some clues. Strange, 3 months have passed. Could it be that Feng Ji and his people still haven't given up? Perhaps it was because Xiao Chen's cultivation of the divine dragon body tempering art caused a huge commotion, attracting the attention of some experts. No matter which aspect it was, Xiao Chen secretly kept an eye on it. Xiao Chen's expression did not change as he carried the information about the Dragon Flame Ancient Land out of the city. After leaving the city gates, Xiao Chen casually waved his hand, and the mutated flood dragon on the cycle throne turned into a tall black dragon horse. The black dragon horse whipped the horse. Amid the churning dust, it galloped like lightning. After walking for an hour, Xiao Chen suddenly stopped. A group of people had appeared in front of him, blocking his path. The person leading the group was Feng Feng of the Heavenly Profound Gate. However, Yan Yuan and Yan Yuan were not present. Instead, the disciples of the Flowing Clouds sect and the Thunderflame Fortress appeared behind Feng Feng. Xiao Chen, we'll take turns guarding you for 3 months. This young master really doesn't have time to play with you. What a pity, you came out now. Feng Chen looked at Xiao Chen. The murderous intent in his eyes seemed solid, and the flames of hatred looked like they would spew out at any moment. He wished he could kill Xiao Chen on the spot. Scanning the surroundings with his spiritual sense, Xiao Chen got off his horse and said coldly, "Loser, are you here to die? Humph, even if you have great abilities, you will die here today." Clang! The sword in his hand was unsheathed, and a cold light shot out from the tip of the sword. It was dazzling, and frost covered the ground, freezing everything within 100 feet. The sword came fast, ruthless, decisive, and without any fancy moves. Feng Chen relied on his cultivation, his comprehension of the sword Dao, and his state of the will of ice to thrust his sword forward. The timing he chose happened to be the moment Xiao Chen got off his horse. It had to be said that Feng Chen had very sharp eyes. The cold chi mixed with the sword intent turned into a solid wind that blew at Xiao Chen's face, making his long hair flutter. The sword wind caused Xiao Chen's hair to flutter, and the frost dyed it white, causing it to flutter wildly behind him. Whoosh! However, the wind suddenly seemed to stop. Xiao Chen's fine black hair did not move. Time seemed to stop flowing, and space froze. Xiao Chen stretched out 2 fingers and gently caught the tip of Feng Chen's sword. Xiao Chen easily caught the sword that shot over at an extremely fast speed, not moving at all. No matter how much force Feng Chen used, he could not advance an inch. Even after using all the veritable essence energy in his body, he could not pull the sword out. Feng Chen revealed an extremely shocked expression. Horror spread in his heart, and he immediately panicked. Damn it! How can it be like this? My sword strike was fast and ruthless. Although I did not use a martial technique, it should not be something that can be caught with 2 fingers. Could it be that Xiao Chen already possesses the strength of a star venerate? Only the Cloud Sea Star Venerate can catch my sword strike so easily. That is impossible. Ka-Xie. The state of using one's body as a cauldron, supporting the sky with one's head and feet on the ground, suddenly scattered. Xiao Chen gently shook his 2 fingers. The veritable essence energy and vital chi that were driven by the sharp spirit finger surged out together with the tip of the sword. The sword in Feng Chen's hand quickly trembled and flew out of his hand. The force spread out, and Feng Chen's entire body trembled as he went flying. He felt like his bones were about to fall apart. At this moment, Xiao Chen's clothes and his fine black hair fluttered in the cool breeze. The frost on his fine black hair drifted down like snowflakes. As he stood there, Xiao Chen looked indescribably handsome and elegant. Feng Chen, your martial arts are really regressing. You can't even block 2 of my fingers. Seeing Feng Chen fall to the ground, Xiao Chen mocked coldly. Senior brother. The group of disciples behind quickly helped Feng Chen up. As they looked at Xiao Chen, horror flashed in their eyes. Xiao Chen looked around and said indifferently, Senior, are you not coming out? Are you preparing to collect the corpse? Whoosh! 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 A figure flashed in the distance, appearing on a nearby tree. Then, with another flash, he landed in front of Xiao Chen. Martial uncle, you must kill him. Feng Chen immediately shouted when he saw this person appear. Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes slightly. It turned out that a Cloud Sea Star Venerate brought out the senior of his sect. No wonder this Feng Chen dared to block me alone. After verifying that it was just a Star Venerate, Xiao Chen relaxed. The matter was not as serious as he thought. Right now, Xiao Chen was no longer the Xiao Chen who had just arrived at the Blessed Land, unable to retaliate when he ran into a Star Venerate. Furthermore, this white-haired old man before Xiao Chen was far weaker than the Black Lotus Church's protector. This person was probably only an early-stage Star Venerate. The white-haired old man looked at Xiao Chen and said indifferently, hand over the Dao tool in your hand, and you can leave. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. I was wondering why you would send out your Dao tool. However, you are not qualified. Instead of getting angry, the white-haired old man laughed. Don't think that I did not see through your earlier trick. Don't try to act mysterious before a Star Venerate. Some tricks might be impressive before the juniors, but they are not sufficient before this old man. Hand over the Dao tool obediently. Clearly, the old man was referring to the sharp spirit finger, which caught Feng Chen's sword with 2 fingers. Xiao Chen revealed a meaningful smile as he said indifferently, if you want it, I'll give it to you. Xiao Chen waved his hand, and the tyrant saber, which had been renamed Moon Seeking, flew towards the white-haired old man. No one had expected such a scene. The Dao soldier had also successfully attracted everyone's attention, including the white-haired old man. Divine Lightning Eye. Xiao Chen instantly executed the Divine Lightning Eye's 4th layer. 10 thunderclouds immediately appeared in the sky, each containing a bolt of tribulation lightning. The 10 purple petals in the Divine Lightning Eye quickly spun and merged into a complete purple flower. At this moment, the tribulation clouds also gathered. However, their target was not the white-haired old man but Feng Chen. By the time the white-haired old man noticed this, it was already too late. A thick bolt of tribulation lightning struck Feng Chen. When the lightning landed on Feng Chen's body, it gave off a loud sound. Electric light flashed, and the nearby cultivators were blasted into a mangled mess. The white-haired old man, who had grabbed the tyrant saber in the air, turned his head and happened to see this scene. He could not help turning pale with fright. Martial nephew. Who could have imagined that Xiao Chen would use such a strong killing move on Feng Chen instead of the white-haired old man? The dust scattered, and Feng Chen appeared with a weak expression. The protective treasure that the sect gave him had saved his life at the crucial moment. Feng Chen was only severely injured and did not die on the spot. The white-haired old man relaxed. His gaze turned cold as he turned his head to look at Xiao Chen, radiating killing qi. However, the white-haired old man only saw an afterimage burning with purple light. When the white-haired old man looked back, he saw Xiao Chen taking advantage of the instant the white-haired old man turned his head to arrive beside Feng Chen. Xiao Chen gently lifted Feng Chen up and grabbed him. The white-haired old man immediately felt irritated. This Xiao Chen actually managed to fool him. His face turned extremely sullen, looking extremely scary. Junior, let him go immediately. Otherwise, the heavenly profound gate will make sure you die a tragic death. Xiaochen grabbed Feng Chen's neck and used his veritable essence energy to lock down Feng Chen's meridians. Then, he looked at the white-haired old man and exerted some force with his right hand. He smiled coldly and said, "Interesting. To think that you dare to threaten me. Martial uncle, save me. I don't want to die." Feng Chen, who had just barely survived the tribulation lightning, immediately fell into Xiaochen's hands. Death enveloped him, scaring him out of his wits. Aside from surviving, Feng Chen did not have any other thoughts. When the white-haired old man heard that, he felt stifled. Most of his arrogance immediately vanished. As he looked at the Dao tool in his hand, he sighed, "The younger generation will surpass us in time. This old man admits that I underestimated you. Let him go, and I am willing to swear to let you go. I will also return the Dao tool to you." "It's too late," Xiaochen said coldly. Then, the veritable essence energy that entered Feng Chen's body exploded. From the inside out, Feng Chen's body exploded into pieces right in front of the white-haired old man. He could not be more dead. Xiaochen had never been a kind-hearted gentleman. After being bullied time and time again, how could he still be merciful? From the moment Feng Chen appeared before Xiaochen already wanted to kill him. Feng Chen had to die. "You!" Such a bloody and terrifying scene appeared before the white-haired old man, angering him so much that his entire body trembled. He was a star venerate, yet a junior actually killed his martial nephew right in front of him. Furthermore, even after the white-haired old man gave in, Xiaochen still showed no mercy, decisively killing Feng Chen. If the white-haired old man had not been greedy and had not tried to grab that Dao tool, how could Xiaochen have stood a chance? However, when the white-haired old man thought of this, if all this was part of this junior's plan, then it would be too terrifying. Xiaochen had calculated every step and thought of how to kill Feng Chen long ago. "How dare you! Your Dao tool is in my hands. Let's see how you are going to overturn the situation today." The white-haired old man flew into a rage. He unleashed his aura at full power, wanting to use his star venerate strength to subdue the tyrant saber and forcefully draw it. However, the white-haired old man was somewhat shocked to discover that he could not draw the tyrant saber. "That's not right. Even if it is a superior grade Dao tool, the aura of a star venerate should be enough to suppress it. Why can't I draw it?" Xiaochen revealed a mocking smile. He leaped into the air and stretched out his hand. The tyrant saber flew out of its scabbard and into his hand, breaking the mundane. While the white-haired old man was still feeling uncertain, Xiaochen instantly executed breaking the mundane. A Buddhist swastika appeared on the white-haired old man's forehead. When he looked up, he immediately sank into a memory deep in his heart. By the time he startled awake, the 3-kilometer-long saber light was already within reach. Ka Xie. The white-haired old man retaliated with all his might. However, this saber strike still broke several of his ribs. The white-haired old man vomited a mouthful of blood and went flying back. The scabbard in his hand also fell off. Xiaochen stretched out his hand and waved, snatching back the scabbard. A saber light flashed, and the saber returned to its scabbard. As the white-haired old man stabilized himself, he said indifferently, "The so-called star venerates are merely SOSO." Chapter 1725. As the white-haired old man looked at the wound on his chest, he revealed a stunned expression. Unexpectedly, Xiaochen managed to injure him as well. The other party was just a peak minor primal core venerate. This was especially so for Xiaochen's words, which angered the white-haired old man. What did he mean by the so-called star venerate is merely a so-so? The white-haired old man snorted coldly. How arrogant! I think you really do not know how horrifying a star venerate is when angry. Boom! Right after the white-haired old man spoke, his aura soared. Stars flickered in his eyes. The scarier thing was that a will of soul surged out of his forehead and surged towards Xiaochen. Xiaochen immediately felt his soul tremble. He could not help recalling the horrifying experience when he faced the Black Lotus Church venerate. However, he was no longer the Xiaochen of the past. He would not make the same mistake twice. Furthermore, he had never thought of defeating this white-haired old man. Although Xiao Qin did not fear early-stage star venerates now, he was still far from their strength. Being able to kill Feng Chen and injure him under the other party's nose was already something to be proud of. What else was there to be dissatisfied with? It is indeed horrifying. Goodbye. Xiao Qin smiled faintly. To the white-haired old man, Xiao Chen's respectful words were filled with mockery. Turning around, before the will of soul could reach him, Xiao Qin had already fled with lightning speed, fleeing into the distance. The white-haired old man felt slightly stunned. Unexpectedly, the insufferably arrogant Xiao Qin left at the drop of a hat, not showing any intention of fighting him at all. How could the white-haired old man endure this? Xiao Qin injured him and even killed Feng Chen. If the white-haired old man left just like that, he would be frustrated to death. No matter what, the white-haired old man had to vent his anger. Xiao Qin had to die. You want to leave? You have to ask me first. The white-haired old man withdrew his will of soul, and his figure flashed as he gave chase. Breaking the world. Who knew? Right after the white-haired old man withdrew his will of soul, Xiao Qin, who had been shielding himself, suddenly turned around and drew his tyrant saber again. Suddenly, Xiao Qin turned around and drew his tyrant saber again, executing the strongest killing move of the army-breaking saber technique. When Xiao Qin used the army-breaking saber technique and a superior-grade Dao tool at full power, he could bring out 20% of the Dao tool's might. Xiao Qin swung his saber down like a peerless overlord. He turned around and swung his saber. The saber light illuminated the sky, destroying the world. The white-haired old man had just withdrawn his will of soul. He had not expected this. Xiao Qin chose this time to make a sudden attack, and it was such a strong killing move. He immediately panicked. He was unable to unleash his will of soul within this short period of time. He had no choice but to turn around to defend himself and throw a punch with all his might. Puchi! Xiao Qin was blasted far away by this punch, but the white-haired old man retreated even further because he was passively receiving the attack. It was just that he was superior in terms of cultivation, so he didn't suffer too much damage. After Xiao Qin chopped out with his saber, he retreated again. This time, he dodged even further. The white-haired old man paused for a moment. Looking at Xiao Chen's back, he cautiously chased after him. He had to be on guard against Xiao Chen's sudden attack. It had to be said that he felt somewhat aggrieved. One person chased, and one person fled. Xiao Chen focused on executing the fish dragon art, and a faint layer of purple flames covered his entire body. Xiao Chen did not have an advantage over the white-haired old man in terms of speed or cultivation. However, this new fish dragon art was perfect for long-distance raids. Xiao Chen did not fear a fight of attrition with the white-haired old man. A Cloud Sea Star Venerate was terrifying, but that was all there was to it. Right now, Xiao Chen was completely confident that he did not fear early-stage Star Venerates. Whoosh! 1 hour later, a figure suddenly landed in front of the white-haired old man, blocking his path. The white-haired old man's face sank. This newcomer was also a Star Venerate. Furthermore, this newcomer's aura was even more terrifying than his. Who are you? Why are you blocking my path? The white-haired old man asked, not daring to be too impudent. The newcomer snorted coldly and took out a medallion. The medallion gave off a piercing, dazzling light, causing the white-haired old man to squint slightly. When he saw it clearly, his expression changed drastically. Dragon Marquis Medallion. The white-haired elder immediately lowered his head and said, I deserve to die. How have I offended the soaring Dragon Marquis? Cut the crap. You don't have to chase after this person. The grudge between your profound sky sect and him ends here. Don't let me find out that you're bullying the weak. Get lost. When the white-haired old man heard this, he immediately felt aggrieved. What do you mean by the strong bullying the weak? It was clearly that kid who was bullying my profound sky sect. Not only did he injure him, he even killed martial nephew Feng Ciyuan. However, the other party had the Dragon Marquis medallion in his hands, which was equivalent to the soaring Dragon Marquis's words. He had to swallow this bitter pill even if he did not want to. However, in reality, even if this person didn't appear, the white-haired old man wouldn't be able to see Xiao Chen's figure after chasing for a few more hours. He had already been injured by Xiao Chen, and he was also afraid that Xiao Chen would turn around and attack him, so his speed was much slower. Catching up to Xiao Chen, who executed the new fish dragon art, would be somewhat difficult. I know. The white-haired old man didn't dare to disobey. He flashed away in a somewhat sorry state. The person who arrived glanced in the direction Xiao Chen left in and entered deep thought. This person was somewhat surprised that a peak minor primal core cultivator could force a star venerate into such a sorry state. Whoosh! Whoosh! After a while, that person's figure vanished from where he was and reappeared. He was now in Soaring Dragon City, meeting with the Cluster Lord's personal maidservant in the Cluster Lord's residence. Miss Xiao Yu, Xiao Chen is already fine. Based on the direction he left in, he should be heading to the Dragon Flame Ancient Land. The black-clad old man reported respectfully. He could not understand why Cluster Lord Goyu wanted to protect this unconventional bladesman in secret. However, when he thought about Cluster Lord Goyu's position in the Soaring Dragon Marquis's heart, the Soaring Dragon Marquis gave her the Soaring Dragon Great Realm as her conferred land right after completing experiential training. If the black-clad old man could keep his mouth shut, it would be best not to say anything. If Xiao Chen were here, he would definitely recognize this Miss Xiao Yu. She was the maidservant that he met twice in the Soaring Dragon Pavilion. Xiao Yu nodded and said, "You may withdraw. I will inform the Cluster Lord of this matter." The black-clad old man silently turned around and left, not saying anything more. After Xiao Yu saw the old man leave, she turned around and walked a long distance. Then, she met with Cluster Lord Goyu in a pavilion. Xiao Yu repeated the black-clad old man's words. Dragon Flame Ancient Land? Are you sure it's the Dragon Flame Ancient Land? Countess Goyu revealed a grave expression as she asked in a deep voice. It should be close. Old Zhang said that young Master Xiao went in the direction of the Dragon Flame Ancient Land. Xiao Yu was not very sure, so she could only repeat old Zhang's words. As for the specifics, it would depend on Princess Goyu's judgment. Cluster Lord Goyu slowly stood up, revealing worry in her eyes. The Dragon Flame Ancient Land is not a peaceful place. Out of 10 people who enter, at least 5 will die there. Your Highness, should we continue sending people to protect young Master Xiao in secret? Xiao Yu asked softly, her eyes filled with doubt. The Cluster Lord was really attentive to this young Master Xiao. There were so many noble clans that did not care for him. Why did the Cluster Lord care so much about a bladesman with an unknown bloodline, a weak sect, and a low cultivation? Cluster Lord Goyu shook her head and said, "There's no need. Once he reaches the Dragon Flame Ancient Land, whether he lives or dies will be up to him." Perhaps that person did not wish for anyone to follow him in secret. Cluster Lord Goyu could not help thinking back to the past. The scenes of her experiences in Purple Sun City when she was still Lan Luo appeared in her mind. Back then, her final conversation with Xiao Chen had not been pleasant. However, it had taught her some principles. Since she was young, no one had ever dared to lecture her like that. Perhaps she did not even know when she started to develop this bad habit. Unexpectedly, fate was fickle. After parting in Purple Sun City, the other party actually appeared in Soaring Dragon City. Furthermore, he even came to the Soaring Dragon Pavilion. However, the parting back then was somewhat awkward. She could only get Xiao Yu to come out and entertain him. Can he understand my painstaking efforts? Perhaps after he found out, he would still fly into a rage like last time. Cluster Lord Goyu also felt nervous in her heart. She shook her head and did her best to control herself, not thinking about it anymore. On the other side, Xiao Chen, who had been traveling quickly, suddenly stopped. Xiao Chen revealed a doubtful expression. It had already been 4 hours since he had sensed the white-haired old man's aura. I shook him off. That was impossible. Based on Xiao Chen's estimates, he would need at least another 8 to 10 hours to truly shake off the white-haired old man. However, no matter what, Xiao Chen could no longer sense the white-haired old man's aura. Strange. Xiao Chen muttered to himself. Then, he kept an eye out and summoned out the cycle throne, continuing to the Dragon Flame Ancient Land. As the cycle throne traveled through the clouds, Xiao Chen sat on it with his eyes closed, recovering his spirit, qi, and mind. At the same time, Xiao Chen ran through some of the details of his earlier fight with the white-haired old man. Soon, he found the crux of it. Will of Soul. A star venerate could start cultivating soul energy and condense a star-like will of soul. Once the will of soul appeared, the opponent would feel an irresistible will of soul that penetrated deep into the soul. Only a star venerate could block it. This was an insurmountable chasm. If I can block the will of soul, I will have an easier time facing a star venerate. The Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram should be able to block the will of soul. Xiao Chen rubbed his chin and opened his eyes, muttering to himself. The Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram was Xiao Chen's strongest defensive means. The Taiji diagram formed by two kinds of primal chaos-grade flames would reach unprecedented heights. Xiao Chen recalled that an ordinary Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram could block the aura of a high-ranked expert in the Kunlun realm. The will of soul should be able to do the same. It's decided, then. Whether it works or not, my first goal in the Dragon Flame Ancient Land is to condense the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram. Xiao Chen made up his mind and set his first goal in the Dragon Flame Ancient Land. Naturally, his long-term goal was to raise his saber techniques to the level that Yi Zifeng mentioned. Spreading out the information on the Dragon Flame Ancient Land, Xiao Chen continued reading while seated on the cycle throne. After a while, he put away the information, and his expression turned somewhat grave. 10 people enter, but only half come out alive. Most of them die miserably. Xiao Chen felt shocked. To think that the mortality rate was as high as half. The Dragon Flame Ancient Land was even more dangerous than the fiendish demon battlefield. The Dragon Flame Ancient Land was the place that the young experts of the nearby dozens of astral clusters looked to for the most. Let's see what exactly is so powerful about it. A spark flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. He felt somewhat excited, not frightened by the 50% mortality rate. Chapter 1726. Half a month later, Xiao Chen met with an invisible resistance in the clouds. The gravity multiplied, and the cycle throne felt heavy pressure, making flying exceptionally difficult. I've arrived. Xiao Chen opened his eyes and looked down. Dust filled the air, obscuring everything, he could not see clearly. The Dragon Flame Ancient Land still had an ancient, savage aura. The space there was different from that of the outside world. Although Xiao Chen could not see clearly, he guessed that he had arrived. Xiao Chen leaped into the air and jumped off the throne. When he landed, the throne turned into a beam of black light that attached to his clothes. Everywhere Xiao Chen looked was desolate. The ground was dry and cracked, not even a blade of grass could be seen. Hot, dry, and lonely. An ancient, savage aura lingered in the air, giving Xiao Chen a deep sense of familiarity. This was the Dragon Flame Ancient Land. It did not seem to feel any threat at all. Let's go to Dragon Flame City first. The Dragon Flame Ancient Land was vast, occupying nearly 1/3 of the soaring Dragon Great Realm. More than 70% of it had yet to be fully explored. Dragon Flame City was the only city in the entire Dragon Flame Ancient Land. Maintaining some caution, Xiao Chen carefully set off. After about 7 minutes, Xiao Chen took out a bottle of water and drank it. He discovered that the drain on his body here was far greater than in the outside world. One should not underestimate this. Cultivators were not immortals who did not eat or drink. It was just that the drain was smaller. If one did not come out of closed-door cultivation, they would last at most half a year. If one stayed any longer, one would need to replenish themselves with food and water unless one was a divine vein powerhouse that surpassed the Cloud Sea realm. It looks like the environment of your Dragon Flame Ancient Land is indeed somewhat terrible. You made yourself look like an ordinary person. Holding the tyrant's saber in his hand, Xiaochen casually chose a direction and walked over. After taking only a few steps, Xiaochen saw a charred corpse in an exceptionally miserable state. With a gentle touch of the scabbard, the corpse turned to ashes. It was not as simple as being charred. The corpse's entire source of life had been drained. Flame demon. Xiaochen spat out 2 words indifferently. One of the threats to survival in the Dragon Flame ancient land was a ferocious beast that lived here, the flame demon. To be precise, flame demons were a type of fiendish demons. The conditions for their birth were rather harsh. They were much more terrifying than ordinary fiendish demons. They were also one of the fiendish demon eagles that were still active in the Great Thousand Realms. However, once they left the special environment, the threat of the flame devils would be greatly reduced. A true major power would not intentionally seek out the flame devil's MO fan. It was impossible to kill them all. As long as the Dragon Flame ancient land existed, more flame demons would be born, never ending. The corpse was still so well preserved earlier. This means that the flame demon did not go far. Xiaochen pondered for a moment before deciding to meet this flame devil. The heavenly eye on Xiaochen's forehead immediately turned into a beam of light and flew out, searching the surroundings. Not long after, he finally found some clues. At the foot of a hill far away from him, a man and a woman were fighting a flame demon. The two were both major primal core venerates. However, they found it very taxing to face a flame demon of the same cultivation realm. There were many charred corpses around them. It was a ghastly sight. Strange. That charred corpse seems to be only a minor primal core cultivator. Its remaining strength is not very strong, not even a great desolate Ian bloodline. Xiaochen did not understand why these people took the risk to enter the Dragon Flame ancient land. Xiaochen stopped thinking about this for now and focused his gaze on the flame demon. The flame demon looked no different from a human. One could only make out its aura and attack methods. The flame demon's evil aura could not be faked. The white flame twirling around its hand was close to blue, inspiring fear in the two cultivators. Even if the flame demons had the same cultivation, there were differences in strength. The white flame demons were low-rank flame demons. The blue flame demons were middle-rank flame demons. As for the red flame demons, they were high-rank flame demons that no one wanted to meet. The color did not represent strength but a kind of aptitude, similar to the grade of a human's bloodline. Of the same strength, one blue flame demon could easily kill 10 white flame demons. The flame that this flame demon gave off was already close to blue. This meant that its aptitude was already very high. It was close to middle-rank flame demons. Xiaochen withdrew his heavenly eye. With a few flashes, he arrived near the man and the woman. "Big brother, someone is coming." The male cultivator looked at Xiaochen and immediately frowned slightly. A minor primal core venerate. It's useless. He really came at the wrong time. He was just delivering resources, and he actually ran into a peak low-rank flame demon. Upon seeing Xiaochen appear, that flame demon abandoned the two and directly launched itself at Xiaochen. Perhaps it discovered that Xiaochen's cultivation was relatively low. That flame demon grinned and launched itself at Xiaochen. That man and woman immediately took the opportunity to flee without even turning their heads back. "Human, taste the feeling of being burned." The flame demon cackled strangely. A scorching aura surged over, making it feel like its hair would burn. Whoosh! A saber light flashed. Before the flame demon could see its arm clearly, Xiaochen chopped it off. A miserable shriek rang out, and the flame demon's severed arm spat out a terrifying flame. The flame demon held its wound with its left hand and looked at Xiaochen in horror. Then, it turned into a clump of flames and merged into the ground, fleeing into the distance. The vertical eye on Xiaochen's forehead opened, and the heavenly eye clearly saw a clump of black shadows fleeing to the north. Xiaochen closed his vertical eye and waited for that black shadow to flee far away before giving chase. As for that man and woman from earlier, Xiaochen could not be bothered with whether they lived or died. That was a group of fugitives. They transported resources from the outside world to Dragon Flame City, earning dozens of times the price difference. Of course, they might also run into a flame demon and die. Xiaochen gave chase unhurriedly, hiding his aura and cautiously giving chase. Flame demons were fiendish demons that lived in groups. Xiaochen wanted to see if this flame demon would return to its tribe. If it could bring him over, he would not mind barging into a flame demon tribe. Flame demon tribes were formed by gathering fire. A gathering place definitely had a strong flame, which was what Xiaochen needed. Before coming, Xiaochen had already thought of such a plan. Half a day later, the sky turned dark. Suddenly, the flame demon that Xiaochen had been following suddenly disappeared. Whoosh! 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 After a long time, Xiaochen appeared from the darkness and landed at the place where the flame demon last disappeared. Could the flame demon tribe be underground? Xiaochen did not have the ability of a flame demon to burrow into the ground. However, Xiaochen had chased them all the way here after much difficulty. It was impossible for him to give up. Propping up his chin with his right hand, Xiaochen thought for a while. Then, he ferociously punched the ground. Silently, the dust that had turned into powder flew out. After a while, a hole appeared in the ground. Xiaochen's figure flashed, and he entered the hole. As he descended, Xiaochen discovered that the underground was as he expected. It was not completely sealed. Instead, there were many intersecting caves, looking as complicated as a maze. Xiaochen followed the source of the heat waves and carefully walked through them. 1 hour later, Xiaochen finally felt the surging heat waves and the auras of many flame demons in this complicated cave. So, it really was hidden here. A brilliant light flashed in Xiaochen's eyes. After thinking for a while, he quickly moved over. Xiaochen's body moved through the cave with incredible agility. He looked around and discovered that the one-armed flame demon that he injured was heading for one of the caves. Xiaochen's lips curled up in a smile. He stuck close to the ceiling of the cave, looking like a lizard as he quickly followed. Xiaochen saw that one-armed flame demon stop at one of the caves. After chatting with the 2 flame demons guarding it, he walked in with large strides. Right after the other party entered, Xiaochen's figure flashed, and he quickly descended. Xiaochen attacked at lightning speed. The heavenly snow divine flame instantly sealed the flame demon on the left in ice. Then, he stabbed his other arm into the chest of the flame demon on the right. When he pulled it out, a white flame crystal appeared in his palm. The flame crystal was the life core of the flame demon. Once it was lost, it would die immediately. Before the 2 flame demons could say anything, Xiaochen silently killed them. Xiaochen calmly walked in, continuing to follow the one-armed flame demon quietly without the one-armed flame demon leading the way. Without the one-armed flame demon leading the way, Xiaochen would not be able to find this complicated cave. There were flame demons guarding the main camp of the flame demon tribe at regular intervals. However, Xiaochen attacked at lightning speed every time. Almost right after the one-armed flame demon left, Xiaochen would immediately kill the flame demons that the one-armed flame demon talked to. Along the way, Xiaochen already had close to 50 white flame crystals in his hand. Suddenly, the one-armed flame demon in front seemed to sense that something was wrong, so it quickly turned its head. However, it did not see anything. The instant the one-armed flame demon turned its head, Xiaochen already sensed it, and his body silently floated above the cave. After the other party left, Xiaochen landed. He followed the other party in the shadows, neither far nor slow. Behind Xiaochen were all dead flame demons, either sealed in ice or turned to ashes. Relying on his skill and boldness, as well as his cool-headedness, Xiaochen did something that seemed crazy. He entered the depths of the flame demon tribe alone. Finally, that one-armed flame demon arrived at an exceptionally vast cave. A clump of scarlet flame burned fiercely in the center, flickering with a strange light and giving off surging heat waves. A blue-haired flame demon with a gloomy gaze sat on a stone throne at the end of the cave. Several flame demons stood in other places, the weakest of them major primal core realm cultivators. These flame demons had expressions of enjoyment as they absorbed the heat from the scarlet flame. It was clear that only the strong or talented flame demons were qualified to enter this place. Xiao Qin stood outside, watching from afar, his gaze landing on that scarlet flame. Xiao Qin could not recognize the flame seed. However, he could sense that it was a young attributed flame no weaker than the dazzling sunlight true flame. Furthermore, it was even older, at least 1,000 years old. The fire-attributed energy it contained was rather significant. Yan Feng. How did you get injured? Tell the truth. The blue-haired flame demon on the stone throne said with an unhappy expression as he looked at the one-armed flame demon. Tribe chief, I was injured by a white-clad bladesman. He chopped off my arm with one saber strike. He was so fast that I could not see clearly. Thinking back to that scene, this one-armed flame demon could not help trembling. Fool. All the tribes have issued strict orders not to offend any humans carrying a saber. Didn't I tell you that? The blue-haired flame demon scolded loudly. This subordinate saw that his cultivation was rather low and was somewhat careless. This subordinate deserves death. The one-armed flame demon immediately knelt on the ground in fright. Humph. You are not allowed to enter the Holy Flame Cave for 1 month. You can use the Holy Flame to treat your injuries only after 1 month. This subordinate understands. The one-armed flame demon did not dare to rebut. It looked greedily at the blazing scarlet flame before turning to leave. The blue-haired flame demon was just halfway there when he suddenly startled awake. You trash! Someone chopped off your arm with one saber strike. How did you manage to return alive? Whoosh! Right after the blue-haired flame demon spoke, the gazes of all the flame demons in the Holy Flame Cave turned cold as they uniformly looked at the one-armed flame demon. Speak! How did you return? Chapter 1727. Xiao Chen's figure flashed as he entered the Holy Flame Cave from the darkness. He immediately felt like he had fallen into a sea of fire. You are not dead yet, the man exclaimed. However, the moment he said that, he regretted it, showing an extremely embarrassed expression. Speak. How did you come back? Hand over the holy flame. Whoosh. Whoosh. Primal Chaos Great Flame. The holy flame that sustained the tribe for 1,000 years was snatched away. How could they be willing to do so? In the next moment, an intense heavenly flame surged out. The 4 major primal core flame demons on standby soared into the air and threw palm strikes at the same time. The major primal core flame demons in the Holy Flame Cave immediately went out in a flash, searching the surroundings. The scarlet flame seed remained in the altar, burning fiercely and not extinguishing for 1,000 years. There was no more waiting. Xiao Chen finally saw through the situation. The people on the city walls had no intention of opening the city gates. Seeing the flame demon army approaching, the fiery clouds covering the sky and the sun, the cultivators gathered below the city walls shouted with all their might. All they breathed was hot air, extremely hot. When the cultivators running for their lives saw Xiao Chen pass them, they were startled. Although this action would result in a lot of waste, it was better than nothing. Only a blaze crystal remained, wobbling as it fell to the ground. However, the other party was not a star venerate in the end. Furthermore, he was not underground, and his tribe was in a mess, unable to take care of itself. At this moment, the entire southern side of the Dragon Flame ancient land descended into utter chaos. Countless flame demons crawled out of the ground. The first thing the other party said was that he was not dead yet. Xiao Chen had a good temper and did not bother arguing with him. If it were someone with a bad temper, they would have killed him on the spot. Indeed, the city gates were already closed. However, many young cultivators rubbed their fists and palms together on the city walls. The entire Holy Flame Cave shook, looking like it would collapse. Xiao Chen ferociously swung the scabbard in his hand, and blood spurted out of that person's chest as he crashed into the wall. Those who were stopped were the weak. How could a city gate stop a true powerhouse? The flame demons are on a rampage. To prevent the flame demons from entering the city in disguise, everyone has to pay 20 blaze crystals before they can enter. In Xiao Chen's eyes, flames surged up to the sky like a huge wave. The dense flames were like lava, incomparably terrifying. Those who were slightly slower would immediately be cruelly killed by the flame demon, turning into charcoal. Without stopping, Zhang Xian flew toward the crimson flames at lightning speed, intending to collect the fire seed. Xiao Chen couldn't be bothered to argue with him, so he turned around and left. Search. Without hesitation, Xiao Chen reached in and grabbed the fire seed tightly in his palm. The blue-haired flame demon soared into the air and turned into a fiery cloud in hot pursuit. Damn, a purple flame devil. What kind of variant is that? After running for a full 2 hours, he had already left the blue-haired flame devil far behind. Gone. With a wave of his hand, the heavenly snow divine flame spread out. This was a rank 3 primal chaos level flame, a much higher grade than the flame that the flame demon released. Wherever it passed, it completely sealed off the space as it attacked fiercely towards Xiao Chen. That injured person was startled and afraid, not daring to say anything. Just at this moment, 2 flame demons ran over in a fluster and knelt on the ground. Humph. You lowly human, you simply don't know what the holy flame means to flame demons. By stealing the tribe's holy flame, you become enemies with all the southern flame demon tribes. Today, you will definitely die. However, the closing of the city gates that the heavenly snow divine flame mentioned was problematic. Boom! The heavenly flame burned the 4 flame demons. However, the flames on their bodies blazed even more fiercely. Xiao Chen did not dare to be careless. Aside from the high temperature, the flames of these flame demons were extremely powerful. Xiao Chen smiled coldly. Then, he suddenly accelerated and dodged that kick. Boom! Flames shot out. The flames that shot out from Xiao Chen's palm looked solid as they surged out. As the man and woman watched Xiao Chen leave, they paled in fright, feeling some lingering fear. The combat prowess of this middle-rank flame demon was very terrifying. In terms of true strength, Xiao Chen was much weaker than him. Xiao Chen successfully broke through the attacks of the 4 flame demons. The instant he revealed his true body, the 4 flame demons and the blue-haired flame demon were startled. This startled the blue-haired flame demon. That's impossible. After killing him, he must have hidden the flame seed in his body. Yang attributed flames were great nourishment for them, providing too much nourishment. The heavenly flame anxiously consumed the scarlet flame's flame seed in Xiao Chen's palm. The 4 flame demons turned into flaming figures and flew at Xiao Chen. In this state, the combat prowess of the flame demons clearly increased significantly. Quickly open the city gates. When that man and woman saw Xiao Chen, they showed stunned expressions. When fire poison invaded the body, even a star venerate would find it hard to bear. Seeing Xiao Chen flying over while enduring this might and pressure, someone smiled coldly and kicked at Xiao Chen. The voice of the blue-haired flame demon on the throne was somewhat cold, causing the temperature in the holy flame cave to drop. Xiao Chen was very satisfied with the heavenly flame's performance in the holy flame cave. However, he could not care about wasting a flame seed in such a simple and crude manner. He wanted the people outside to be cannon fodder first. Big brother, stop talking. We are almost at Dragon Flame City. We will be safe once we enter the city. Xiao Chen said indifferently, just take care of yourself. Xiao Chen soared into the air and directly barged in. There was no need for him to fear. While the blue-haired flame demon was distracted, Xiao Chen landed not far from the scarlet flame. It was just a riot of the southern flame demons, not that scary. To some people, this was a chance to show off. I arrived at Dragon Flame City. This blue-haired flame demon's aura was extremely terrifying. Although this blue-haired flame demon was only a peak major primal core cultivator, he gave Xiao Chen the aura of a star venerate. There was no chance to dodge at all. It looked like this surging flame would bury Xiao Chen in the next moment. The blue-haired flame demon smiled coldly and said, "I was waiting for you. Block him for me." The city walls were 300 meters tall, and the formations were already activated. The ancient city's might and pressure were extremely strong, making it difficult to fly up. Xiao Chen smiled faintly, and golden light suddenly appeared in his empty palm. Bang! Amid a loud sound, the 4 flame demons exploded at the same time. The light in the holy flame cave suddenly dimmed. Whether you are alone or someone is receiving you, you will die an unsightly death tonight. The blue-haired flame demon roared ferociously as he stood up. Damn it! Why am I so unlucky? I ran into a flame demon in the day, and the people of the merchant group all died. Then, I ran into a riot of flame demons at night. However, Xiao Chen had already moved one step ahead of time. He held up the tyrant saber and broke through the rock layer, charging towards the ground. Since Xiao Chen's attributes countered each other, he immediately sealed all the surging flame waves in ice. Countless flame demons tore through the ground and appeared in the dark night, illuminating the surrounding 5,000 kilometers. Clan head, it's not good. The brothers guarding along the way are all dead. The blue-haired flame demon reverted to human form and reappeared in front of Xiao Chen. He showed a murderous intent on his face, wishing that he could eat Xiao Chen alive. If Xiao Chen continued waiting and those flame demons returned without accomplishing anything, it would be even more difficult to deal with. Middle-rank flame demons were indeed terrifying. Xiao Chen did not protect his body with veritable essence energy, continuously draining it. A thick layer of purple flames burned all over his body. The blue-haired flame demon raged. His entire body burned, turning into a blue flaming man as he launched himself at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen shook his head and said, "Even star venerates cannot stop me. What right do you have to stop me?" Xiao Chen's figure flickered continuously, and the flames sealing the flames cracked and shattered like ice cubes. What fast speed! Everyone, run! However, the result was already pretty good. The might of the heavenly flame had increased significantly, and Xiao Chen was one step closer to breaking through to rank 3. The flame demon's palm turned bright red. The scorching temperature nearly melted Xiao Chen's palm on the spot. Now that the situation was urgent, he could only refine it on the spot. He could not use the dragon pattern cauldron to slowly refine it. After making a judgment of the flame demon's strength, Xiao Chen's figure flashed as he quickly retreated, not clashing with it. The city gates were already closed, barring entry. The blue-haired flame demon's expression turned extremely unsightly. He had not expected Xiao Chen to instantly break through the flames of 4 flame demons and snatch away the holy flame's flame seed. Xiao Chen used the new fish dragon art to continuously pull away from the blue-haired flame demon. 5 stars lit up on his 9-star primal core. Otherwise, someone would have barged in long ago. Why? We are clearly all humans. Why are you not letting us into the city? Aside from that, Xiao Chen's palm was empty. There was nothing else. Not bad. However, you are still some distance away from breaking through to rank 3. The holy flame is not with me. Do you think you can leave after stealing the holy flame? That's easy for you to think. The flame demons are on a rampage, and the city gates are already closed. How can it be easy to enter? Right after the blue-haired flame demon spoke, flames soared into the sky from the ground in the darkness. Beams of fiery light soared into the clouds in the darkness. The moment the blue-haired flame demon said that, the one-armed flame demon immediately fell to the ground in fright. That's impossible. I was very careful on my way back. No human cultivator could follow me. Several cultivators on the city walls took the opportunity to extort money from the flame demon. Xiao Chen found the voices somewhat familiar. He glanced over and saw that they were the man and woman he saved during the day. Xiao Chen stood at the city wall and swept his cold gaze across. Immediately, no one dared to move. After about 7 minutes, Xiao Chen broke out of the ground. The cultivators risking their lives in the dark all paled in fright as they fled in the direction of Dragon Flame City. If they could not endure it, there could only be one result. After a while, Dragon Flame City came into view. Xiao Qin slowed down, and the purple flames on his body vanished. Now, he looked like an ordinary person. Xiao Chen's expression immediately changed slightly. He had not expected the matter to blow up so much. Xiao Chen maintained a calm expression as he sped forward, not turning his head back to look. Many flame demon tribes appeared, quickly approaching Xiao Chen's location. Xiao Chen secretly observed the Holy Flame Cave. At this moment, aside from the 4 strongest flame demons, only the blue-haired flame demon remained in the Holy Flame Cave. The blue-haired flame demon glanced at the one-armed flame demon on the ground. Then, he stretched out his hand and pulled the one-armed flame demon over. Then, he punched, causing flames to fill the air. Several people had already paid the blaze crystals, but the city gates still did not open. They wanted to trample on the blue-haired flame demon to serve as a warning to others. Ice. The blue-haired flame demon looked like a flaming man. If not for the purple flame demon, he would definitely be misunderstood. If one fell from the city walls, the might of the ancient city would definitely result in flesh and blood splattering everywhere. If one's physical body was slightly weaker, one would be crushed into meat paste, an exceptionally terrifying sight. The blue-haired flame demon looked at Xiao Chen. In his eyes, Xiao Chen was already a dead man. Whoosh! Strength reigned supreme in the Dragon Flame ancient land. There was no such thing as hypocrisy. Xiao Chen landed and opened his palm. The terrifying wound on his palm was healing quickly. Chapter 1728. Right now, Xiao Chen was at the southern city gates. As the southern city gates were close to the periphery of the Dragon Flame ancient land, there were not many experts in this area. Watch out for my saber. That was a bona fide star venerate level flame demon, the leader of this flame demon riot. The beautiful saber light formed a light screen, forming a perfect defense. As Xiao Chen watched the other party leave and regroup with the northern city cultivators, he revealed a contemplative expression. The fiery rain blasted terrifying deep pits in the ground. The soil instantly melted and turned into nothing. Whoosh! 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 The blue blaze crystal fell to the ground, giving off a crisp sound. It flickered with resplendent blue flames, looking exceptionally dazzling. The many eager cultivators on the city walls leaped off at this moment. Dang! Despicable human bastards who stole our lives, we meet again. After attracting the attention of the flame demons, people of the same level as the clan heads immediately targeted these experts. When these experts looked forward, they saw flaming clouds covering the desolate ancient land. Sparks of fire littered the ground, appearing everywhere. Breaking the world, ruthlessly charging over. The flame demons had the advantage of physical bodies. In this Dragon Flame ancient land, they also had the geographical advantage. Furthermore, their cultivations were not low. Just at this moment, several experts leaped onto the city walls. All of them radiated a cold light as they looked at the rioting flame demons in front with grave expressions. However, when the blue-robed man looked up, he noticed something strange. He saw a purple flower petal appear in Xiao Chen's right eye. Xiao Chen could use his soul energy to target the soul and imitate illusions. After Xiao Chen landed, his expression turned somewhat grave. He had been somewhat careless. He just did not want to get surrounded by the flame demons. Since this blue-haired flame demon wanted to fight, he would do as he wished. Kill. The masked bladesman smiled faintly and retracted his move. Then, he stretched out his hand to grab the blue blaze crystal. Bang! 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 Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes and soared into the air, moving at lightning speed to grab that blue blaze crystal. I heard that most of the experts in the northern city have already formed teams and set off to explore deeper. This flame demon riot will not be easy to deal with. Xiao Chen saw through the blue-haired bladesman's ploy. He smiled coldly to himself, not clashing head-on with it. This caused the 10,000 tribulation divine lightning to lose its target, forcing it to stop. Recently, there have been many new saber experts in Dragon Flame City. In any case, the flame demon had already swallowed the so-called holy flame. There was no need to go all out against it. With a roar, the large group of flame demons immediately retreated like the wind. In that terrifying space, Xiao Chen's body continued to fall. Below him was a terrifying abyss that seemed to have no end. It was also at this time that the leader of the flame devils in the center was at a disadvantage against Bai Mingfeng. Without much thought, the masked bladesman retreated quickly, decisively giving up on the blue blaze crystal. Xiao Chen reached out his hand and grabbed the blue crystal. Bai Mingfeng. Xiao Chen sneered in his heart. The reason why he had retreated earlier was not because he was afraid of the other party. A strange light flashed in the masked bladesman's eyes. He smiled and said, "Your saber technique is pretty good. We will definitely meet again." Among the flame demons, there was a flame demon whose entire body emitted demonic blue flames, which was especially eye-catching. All of a sudden, strange phenomena appeared. A clump of fire clouds descended from the sky and landed in front of Xiao Chen, blocking him from killing. Right after Xiao Chen spoke, he retreated quickly, directly giving up on the blue blaze crystal. However, a dark light came from somewhere. When the dark light appeared, it was the masked bladesman that Xiao Chen had paid special attention to earlier. Xiao Chen had no choice but to give up on that precious blue blaze crystal. His figure flashed as he retreated. Due to the formation's might and pressure, it looked very unsightly coming up, but it was very easy to fall down. Furthermore, with the tyrant saber in his hand and his great Tao energy, he was already undefeatable. Just at this moment, one of the experts from the northern city also attracted Xiao Chen's attention. The roaring and raging flame demons slowly pressed closer to Flame Dragon City. One of the 10 strongest swordsmen of Dragon Flame City. With him around, the flame demons will not be able to cause much of a commotion. However, the greatest weakness of the flame demons was that they did not have systematic martial techniques. Xiao Chen relied on his saber techniques. Boom! The strongest killing move of the army-breaking saber technique encased the flame demons. Killing intent appeared, mixing two great Daos. Seeing Xiao Chen successfully climb up the city walls, several people tried to imitate him. However, the results were extremely miserable. It was not as simple as Xiao Chen's high cultivation. He also exuded a heavy killing qi and an invisible aura. This was also the adventurous land that experts liked to go to. This time, the flame demon's rampage forced out so many experts. Xiao Chen did not know how many people in the northern city had yet to show up. Who knows? The flame demons are cruel. The flesh, blood, essence, and soul of human cultivators are great nourishment for them. Maybe they are greedy again. This southern flame demon rampage happens once every half a year. I wonder what's going on this time. It has only been 3 months, and it actually came again. Xiao Chen's strength immediately attracted a lot of attention in the chaotic battlefield. At the highest point of the city walls, a black-cloaked, middle-aged swordsman holding a treasure sword appeared at the same time. Supported by great Tao energy, 5 stars lit up on his 9-star primal core. The army-breaking saber technique started a massacre amid the chaos. Xiao Chen focused and calmed himself. He guarded his dantian, not panicking at all as he calmly swung his saber. This move could be considered a consummate technique of the flame demons. It covered a wide area, was fast, and possessed great destructive power. Xiao Chen spread his arms and slid backward. The saber light in his hand danced around, breaking the incoming flames. The illusion disappeared. However, the saber light in the masked bladesman's hand appeared before Xiao Chen in reality. Humph! I'll take your life. A figure whizzed through the air, causing everyone to feel waves of pressure wherever it passed. When the blue-haired flame demon saw the situation, he glared at Xiao Chen and took the opportunity to retreat. Some of the people in the northern city who have yet to leave were startled as well. After 10 moves, the blue-haired flame demon was at a disadvantage. It was like Shao Chen had fallen into hell on earth. Karmic flames burned the evil spirits in the surroundings. Chains filled the space, stringing up those who had committed sins in their lives. Shao Chen's saber techniques were ruthless, clean and efficient, with great force. Combined with his peak major primal core cultivation, a flame demon of the same cultivation could not last 3 moves against him. Every time Shao Chen killed a flame demon, he would instantly take out a white flame crystal. The strong preyed on the weak, survival of the fittest. However, not everyone could be like Shao Chen, easily subduing an enemy. Regular cultivators had to be careful when facing a flame demon. When the flame demons arrived on the city walls, the cultivators who could not enter the city had to fight to the death with the flame demons. The masked bladesman wore black, and his saber techniques were ruthless. He wore a mask, and his long hair draped over his shoulders. Earlier, Shao Chen did not look carefully. Only when he started fighting did he discover that there was a bladesman among them. As for Bai Mingfeng, he was a bona fide star venerate. The feeling that he gave Shao Chen was much stronger than that of the white-haired old man from the Heavenly Profound sect. The masked bladesman smiled coldly, and a black saber light charged at Shao Chen with a strange sound, sounding like the wailing of ghosts and the howling of wolves. The masked bladesman swung his saber mercilessly, chopping the blue-haired flame demon that turned around and retreated in half. The masked bladesman stretched out his hand, and the 7 deadly sins turned into a sharp saber. Then, he started a massacre. Look! That white-robed bladesman is very strong. Several human cultivators caught in the shockwaves died on the spot or were poisoned by fire, forcing them to leave in a hurry. Whoosh! The northern part of the city faced the interior of the Dragon Flame Ancient Land, a forbidden land with 70% of the region unexplored. Just at this moment, Bai Mingfeng leaped into the air and landed in the middle of the flame demon army, directly clashing with the strongest flame demon. Relying on the physical body of a fiendish demon and a ferocious force, the flame demon clashed with Shao Chen, not letting up. The strong blue flame crystal could help the heavenly flame raise its rank. Flames filled the skies as a mid-ranked flame devil perished just like that. With one glance, Shao Chen could tell that this was the aura of an expert. The flaming clouds in the sky reformed into a humanoid shape. Just as the flame demon was about to charge down, a saber light soared up. After the blue-haired flame demon landed, he showed a weak expression, no longer showing his initial arrogance. The aura that the blue-haired flame demon exuded was extremely terrifying. Even from a distance, one could feel the fiendish chi from him. Shao Chen sized up the cultivators in the northern part of the city. They did indeed have some extraordinary aspects. With a casual wave, the 7 deadly sins turned into 7 beams of light and vanished. Shao Chen drew the tyrant saber, and the might of the army-breaking saber technique immediately increased significantly. Your cultivation is not high, but your saber techniques are so startling. How surprising. Shao Chen held his saber horizontally and said coldly, "What can you do to me?" After Bai Mingfeng defeated the flame demon leader, he left silently without saying a word. This strategy was pretty good. A cultivator's veritable essence energy could not compare to a flame demon's. In the end, it would be hard to say who would win. The minor primal core flame demon could not even block one move from Shao Chen. Shao Chen's eyes flickered. After thinking for a while, he also leaped up and charged at the flame demon. In the past, the southern part of the city has fallen many times. Every time the flame demons entered the city, it was a massacre. Based on the discussions on the city walls and the information that Shao Chen came to understand, he gained a rough understanding of Dragon Flame City. Dragon Flame City was indeed a place of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Furthermore, the flame demon's reaction was very sharp. The moment Shao Chen executed the 10,000 tribulation divine lightning, he sensed something wrong and quickly dodged. Shao Chen watched coldly from the side. He did not stop the flame demon but did not join in the kicking either. However, this group of flame demons has some weight. They will not enter the northern part of the city. Dragon Flame City was divided into the northern part and the southern part. This masked bladesman's saber techniques were actually no weaker than Xiao Chen's. The martial technique that the masked bladesman cultivated was actually the same as Xiao Chen's Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique. If one was slightly weaker, the might and pressure would cause them to fall and turn them into a mangled mess, a sorry sight to behold. The flame demon turned into a clump of blue flame clouds and soared into the air. Then, it roared ferociously, and boundless flames shot towards Xiao Chen like rain. It's coming! Xiao Chen had already discovered the preciousness of blaze crystals. They could be directly consumed by the heavenly flame, replenishing its expenditure. The blue-haired flame demon's figure flashed, and he arrived before Xiao Chen. Then, he threw a palm strike, sending out boundless heat waves. No one dared to stay near the two's fight. The saber strike sent the blue-haired flame demon flying. Flames continuously shot out of its body, looking like blood spurting out. Chapter 1729. Originally, the uprising of the flame demons was a huge matter for the southern city. However, after the experts of the northern city appeared, it turned into something neither too big nor too small. This matter made Xiao Chen realize something. In Dragon Flame City, the northern city and the southern city were two completely different worlds. One could only venture around the periphery of the Dragon Flame ancient land, while the other ventured into the center, even exploring unknown regions. The two could not be compared at all. The difference in strength between the cultivators of the southern city and the adventurers of the northern city was clear. This was especially so for that masked bladesman. He left a deep impression on Xiao Chen. In the end, Xiao Chen still could not figure out why the other party would give up on the blue blaze crystal. The blaze crystal of a medial rank flame demon was rather precious. However, that blue-haired flame demon had not lived for long. Although the blue blaze crystal that Xiao Chen obtained was precious, it was not that rare. If it were an old flame demon that had lived for more than 1,000 years, its value would be completely different. Of course, the strength of a 1,000-year-old medial rank flame demon would definitely be terrifying as well. That white-robed bladesman is pretty strong. A few stern-looking cultivators from the southern city gathered together and said as they watched Xiao Chen leave. For him to be able to block the ghost saber's move, that explains a lot. It looks like he is destined to go to the southern city. At that time, there might be a chance to work together. Ha! Perhaps he is an enemy. The strongest of the group, the azure-clad man, said indifferently, ending the topic. Saber Ghost, sparing his life and giving up on the blaze crystal is not your style. The azure-clad man smiled indifferently when he saw the masked bladesman come over. The masked man known as Saber Ghost smiled coldly and said, "There will be plenty of time in the future." After saying that, the masked bladesman left without looking back, returning to the city alone. The azure-clad man smiled faintly, and his gaze fell on Xiao Chen's back. He said, "You all go back first. I'll go and deal with that white-robed bladesman." Whoosh! 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 With a few steps, the azure-clad man seemed to vanish into thin air. Suddenly, he appeared in front of Xiao Chen without any warning. Xiao Chen's gaze sank. He asked with a grave expression, "What's the matter?" "My name is Ling Feng. I don't have any ill intentions. It's just that your saber technique looked familiar. It's a little similar to our Divine Shield Army's Thousand Army Sword technique, but it's not. It's quite puzzling." The green-robed man smiled, indicating that he had no ill intentions. Divine Shield Army? What a coincidence, but it wasn't too surprising. Many sect disciples and aristocratic family disciples would choose to join the two armies under the Ocean Star when they went out for training. It was said that the Ocean Star was originally a joint effort of the many inherited noble clans of the Central Great Realm. Xiao Chen did not wish to have anything to do with this. He said indifferently, "You are mistaken. That is the army-breaking saber technique, not the Thousand Army Sword technique. I've never seen the Thousand Army Sword technique either." Ling Feng smiled in understanding. He said, "So, that is the case. If there is a chance, I hope we can work together to explore the Dragon Flame Ancient Land. Fighting alone in this Dragon Flame Ancient Land is seeking death. Having more friends is not a bad thing. Xiao Chen, I don't mind cooperating if there's a chance. I hope we won't become enemies. The green-robed man narrowed his eyes slightly, his thoughts unfathomable. Then, he vanished into thin air before Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen entered deep thought. The Space Dao. That should be right. However, it might be some inherited bloodline or some clan cultivation technique. Otherwise, given the other party's current cultivation, he was still far from being able to appear out of thin air. The Dragon Flame Ancient Land was truly filled with experts. Indeed, I came to the right place. Xiao Chen smiled faintly as he calmly entered the city. Dragon Flame City did not have a city lord or any rules. Strength was the pass to enter this place. If one was strong, many things would come to them automatically. Without strength, many things would be pointless. Simply put, there were no rules about who could or could not enter the southern city or the northern city. However, if one was not strong enough and stayed in the northern city, one might be humiliated at every turn. Seeing that one was weak, one would bully one. Inviting one to join the team was also using one as cannon fodder. Everyone was very self-aware. The region one stayed in depended on one's strength. Forming a team to explore was also convenient. There was no need to seek trouble for oneself. Xiao Chen stayed in the southern city for close to 3 months. During these 3 months, the flame demons rebelled 3 times. Naturally, each time had something to do with Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen was not in a rush to enter the northern city. He needed to raise the rank of the heavenly flame quickly to complete his first goal. After 3 adventures with the flame demon tribes, his heavenly flame finally reached rank 3. With yin and yang in balance, Xiao Chen successfully executed the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. The effects of the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram executed by the primal chaos level flame were unexpectedly good, greatly increasing Xiao Chen's strength. Just like that, a perfect trump card was born. In the future, even if Xiao Chen ran into a star venerate, he would not have to fear them. He could face them head-on. Aside from this, Xiao Chen also collected many white blaze crystals, which could be used to replenish the heavenly flame's expenditure. The heavenly flame was like a cultivator's veritable essence energy. When one wanted to release it, one could not do so indefinitely. After exhausting the heavenly flame, one needed to refine it for a while before accumulating enough. However, blaze crystals could be used as supplements, quickly replenishing the heavenly flame's energy, just like the veritable essence energy medicinal pills that cultivators consumed. On this particular day, Xiao Chen was in closed-door cultivation in his courtyard. He felt that the bottleneck of his minor primal core realm had loosened significantly, and he could break through to the major primal core realm at any time. Xiao Chen had been undergoing experiential training for the past 3 months. His cultivation had not fallen behind at all. He could already light up 6 stars on his 9-star primal core, and lighting up 9 stars was just around the corner. Suddenly, a murderous intent came from outside. Xiao Chen, who was in closed-door cultivation, suddenly opened his eyes. He saw a person and a sword stabbing at the restrictions in his courtyard. When the sword light touched the restrictions, they crumbled like rotten wood. The layers of walls turned into powder. There was no way to stop the sword light from piercing in. In that swordsman's eyes, it was like all obstacles were nothing. That swordsman's gaze pierced through the courtyard walls, the great hall, and the many walls. He only saw Xiao Chen, who was in closed-door cultivation. By the time Xiao Chen opened his eyes, most of the courtyard had already been destroyed. Xiao Chen, who had been in the secret room, was now exposed. The surroundings were in ruins. The sword light flew out, cold and merciless. 1 man and 1 sword, unrivaled. Beiming Feng. Xiao Chen did not have much time to think. In the time it took for a spark to fly, he stood up and instantly executed the sharp spirit finger. Xiao Chen's head supported the sky and his feet stood on the ground. He merged his veritable essence energy and vital chi into his entire body, using his body as a cauldron to communicate with the power of the world, becoming one with the world. At the critical moment, 2 fingers clamped down on that sword. In that instant, space froze. Xiao Chen's entire body became like a statue, even his hair stopped fluttering. The force contained in the sword was too strong. Xiao Chen could not bounce it back, he could only swing it gently. When Xiao Chen let go, he leaped back and landed on the wall behind him. Bai Mingfeng sheathed his sword and looked coldly at Xiao Chen. This sword strike is a warning to you. Don't casually break the rules. There are existences that you and I cannot afford to offend at the edge of the Dragon Flame ancient land. In the future, you are not allowed to go to the Flame Demon tribes to steal Yang Flames. Right after Bai Mingfeng spoke, he left, his black cloak fluttering behind him as he vanished from Xiao Chen's sight. Xiao Chen showed a strange expression. Every time the southern flame demons went on a rampage, Bai Mingfeng would make a move without seeing any other star venerates. Xiao Chen had long felt that this was strange. Today, he was certain that there was something fishy about this. Dragon Flame City was a land without a master. However, there were still some strong sovereigns in secret. Perhaps Bai Mingfeng was the sovereign of the southern city. This involved many benefits, including the flame demon tribes. As Xiao Chen looked at the courtyard that only half remained, the other half looked like a sandbox that someone had erased. Xiao Chen felt lucky. This Bai Mingfeng's sword technique was truly terrifyingly strong. Even if Bai Mingfeng did not use the will of soul, Xiao Chen would not be a match for him. If Bai Mingfeng does not allow me to go, so be it. In any case, the heavenly flame has already advanced to rank 3. I already plan to head to the northern city. However, I will have to return this sword strike sooner or later. The sudden strike was merciless. If his reaction had been slightly slower, he would have died. If Xiao Chen's reaction had been slightly slower, he might have gotten pierced through and died on the spot. Xiao Chen was sure that if he could not block it, that Bai Mingfeng would not have shown mercy. He would not have minded taking another life. Dragon Flame City really could not be carried away at all times. Perhaps once one closed one's eyes, one would not be able to open them again. Xiao Chen gave a deep look in the direction that Bai Mingfeng had taken. Then, he turned around and landed, flying towards the northern city. Chapter 1730. This is incredible. That white-robed bladesman actually blocked Bai Mingfeng's sword strike. Furthermore, he only used 2 fingers. Could he have been hiding his strength? Tomorrow, the entire southern city will probably be shaken up. Someone used 2 fingers to block Bai Mingfeng's sword strike. However, in the end, Bai Mingfeng still chased him away. In the past few years, many people have broken the rules and died at Bai Mingfeng's hands. This white-robed bladesman is really lucky. There were many people in the southern city. The earlier sword strike had already startled everyone. Many people saw Xiao Chen catching Bai Mingfeng's sword strike and found it inconceivable. As everyone looked in the direction Xiao Chen left, discussions rang out. Only a few people in the southern city would discover that Xiao Chen's sharp spirit finger actually contained many mysteries despite looking simple. It was not as simple as a light pinch. Unfortunately, there were not many experts in the southern city. If it were in the northern city, there would definitely be people who could figure it out. Xiao Chen left the southern city, moving neither fast nor slow. He leaped from roof to roof for an hour before reaching the dividing line between the northern and southern cities. With Xiao Chen's speed, he would need another hour to reach the dividing line. This showed how vast Dragon Flame City was. The moment Xiao Chen landed, he saw a panting person land before Xiao Chen. That person smiled and said, "Friend, I finally caught up to you." Xiao Chen had noticed that someone was following him long ago. Furthermore, it was not just one person. However, he did not try to shake them off. He wanted to see what these people were up to. Now that someone had jumped out, it saved him some trouble. "Speak, why are you following me?" Xiao Chen asked directly. That person wore gray robes and was not very strong. He smiled happily and said, "Friend, you are going to the northern city, right? If you want to make a living in the northern city, you will definitely have to enter the depths of the dragon flame ancient land. You will definitely have to find a team. I have some connections that can directly introduce you to a strong team." Xiao Chen entered deep thought, his expression not changing. Leng Feng had said that if one wanted to explore the depths of the dragon flame ancient land alone, only death awaited them. Xiao Chen had some doubts about this. However, when he heard something similar again, he somewhat believed it. Perhaps the depths of the dragon flame ancient land were not suitable for traveling alone. "Young master, please don't doubt my identity. Every strong team has spies in the southern district. There will always be people who die during training, and the team will always be short of people. Young master obviously meets the requirements. If you can pass the test, I can also get a share of the benefits." The person who came was also frank, directly explaining to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen said lightly, "What's your name?" "Just call me Gu Yun. Although I am not strong enough, I have lived in this dragon flame city for more than 10 years. I know all the rules." Hearing Xiao Chen's tone, Guyun felt that there was hope and said with a smile, "Everyone has their own way of living. Some people are destined to have no talent or courage, and can only live like Guyun. There was no lack of such people running errands and earning resources anywhere." Xiao Chen nodded. "Lead the way." "Roger that. Let's see what's going on first." Although he preferred to work alone, Xiao Chen wasn't opposed to joining a team. After about 7 minutes, Guyun led Xiao Chen to a lavish courtyard and stopped. "Guyun, are you inviting people to join the team again? Don't bring trash over like last time and make yourself a laughing stock," a man guarding the doors said with a smile when he saw Guyun. "How could I? Absolutely not this time." "Absolutely not," Guyun said with a fawning smile. "How could I? Absolutely not this time." "Absolutely not," Guyun said with a fawning smile. Xiao Chen followed Guyun and was about to enter the courtyard. "You still have to ask me first whether you can enter or not." The man guarding the door looked coldly at Xiao Chen. Without saying a word, he blocked Xiao Chen's path. Boom! However, right after the man spoke, Xiao Chen's fist landed on the man's chest. 5 cauldron force instantly erupted. Xiao Chen blasted the man's body into the courtyard like a small mountain and sent the man crashing into the ground. Ignoring the shocked Gu Yun, Xiao Chen walked in with large strides. Xiao Chen saw the man groaning endlessly on the empty ground in the courtyard. The cultivators living in the courtyard were all startled by the commotion and came out one after another. Xiao Chen took a rough look and found a total of 100 people. The weakest among them was a major primal core venerate. The eyes of several experts flickered, and their auras became startling. However, more importantly, Xiao Chen discovered some familiar faces. The azure-clad man, Leng Feng, whom he met in the southern city 3 months ago, and the masked bladesman were among them. However, that Leng Feng did not seem to be the leader of this team. What's going on? Who is so bold to injure our people? A gray-clad old man walked out of the crowd. He swept his gaze around and stared at Xiao Chen. Guyun quickly stepped forward and explained, "Senior Ma, this is the person I introduced. He used only 2 fingers to catch Bai Mingfeng's sword in the southern city." Whoosh! The moment Guyun said that, a huge commotion broke out. Many people whispered to each other, occasionally glancing at Xiao Chen. Bai Mingfeng was one of the few experts in Dragon Flame City. Furthermore, he was one of the few strong swordsmen. Ordinary venerables might not even be able to withstand a single strike from him. Not to mention, Zhang Xian had caught his sword with just 2 fingers. Clearly, Senior Ma was the leader of this group of people. He was an early-stage star venerate, the highest cultivation. When the old man heard Gu Yun's words, his expression did not change. He said indifferently, "I believe that he would not dare to lie in front of so many people, but this old man really does not believe it. Senior Ma, He is the white-robed blades man I told you about 3 months ago. The green-clothed man, Leng Feng, stood out and said to old Ma. Senior Ma valued Leng Feng's words. When he heard Leng Feng's words, his expression immediately warmed. Since Leng Feng vouched for you, there is no need for you to prove your strength. Are you interested in joining our team to explore the unknown forbidden lands of the Dragon Flame Ancient Land? Xiao Chen looked around at the surrounding people. If the people going to explore the Dragon Flame Ancient Land were all like this, then it would be meaningless for Xiao Chen to go alone. A single person's strength was too insignificant in front of a team. If there was a conflict and he became enemies with the team, he would not be able to retaliate at all. Xiao Chen nodded and said, sure. Catching Bai Ming Feng's sword with just 2 fingers. Even if you are bragging, that is not how you brag. The person who spoke was also a swordsman. As he looked at Xiao Chen, he showed disdain on his face. Clearly, he did not believe that Xiao Chen could catch Bai Ming Feng's sword. Seeing that Xiao Chen wanted to join the team, he expressed his opinion. Senior Ma's expression changed slightly. Xiahou Yun, with Leng Feng vouching for him, it is sufficient to prove his strength. Humph. Did Leng Feng personally see him catch Bai Ming Feng's sword? If he is really that capable, I will not stop him from joining the team if he can catch my sword with just 2 fingers. Xiahou Yun hugged his sword, showing a proud and aloof expression, unwilling to cooperate. Xiahou Yun locked his gaze on Xiao Chen and continued, there is no need for you to make things difficult for Senior Ma. If you are capable, catch my sword. Use your strength to prove yourself. This is the rule of Dragon Flame City. You, make your move. Xiao Chen said simply as he looked at the other party. Good. Watch out for my sword. Whoosh. Right after Xiahou Yun spoke, his figure flashed. The sword in his hand had already left its scabbard at some point in time. It gave off a cold light as it stabbed at Xiao Chen at lightning speed. Xiahou Yun intentionally made things difficult for Xiao Chen. The blade of his sword was covered in frost and cold qi. If Xiahou Yun caught it with his bare hands, his fingers would freeze on the spot. With a backhand strike, he could chop off Xiao Chen's entire arm. Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes, and in the time it took for a spark to fly, he made his move. 2 fingers firmly clamped down on Xiahou Yun's sword. To think that Xiahou Yun really dared to do this. He was truly reckless. Xiahou Yun smiled coldly in his heart. Just as he was about to draw his sword and execute a backhand strike, he discovered that he could not draw his sword at all. The surrounding space seemed to have solidified. Sorry for my incompetence. Xiao Chen gently flicked his sword, and a mix of veritable essence energy and vital qi surged out together with the sword. The sword immediately twisted and bounced Xiahou Yun back with a loud bang. He really managed to catch it. This broadened the horizons of several cultivators in the courtyard. Unexpectedly, a peak minor primal core venerate like Xiao Chen still had such a move. Senior Ma laughed loudly and said, wonderful. Little brother's move is really brilliant. Using the body as a cauldron to communicate with the power of the world, instantly driving all the veritable essence energy and vital qi in the body. Interesting, truly interesting. Just using the body as a cauldron was already very ingenious, not something that ordinary people could comprehend. Merging vital qi and veritable essence energy and instantly infusing the entire body was even more demanding on the meridians. How could a regular meridian body endure the merging of veritable essence energy and vital qi? What was even rarer was that Xiao Chen's cultivation was not high, yet he managed to do this. His veritable essence energy foundation was definitely very vast. It was very likely that he would condense a 7-star primal core. As a star venerate, Senior Ma could make out many things. However, although he could, it was practically impossible for him to do it. Just the merging of veritable essence energy and vital qi stumped him. Chapter 1731. Seeing Xiao Chen actually use only 2 fingers to clamp down on Xiahou Yun's sword, the spectators were all shocked. They whispered to each other, sharing their opinions with their surrounding companions. Regarding this sharp spirit finger, as the experts of the northern city, most of the team's experts naturally understood some of the profoundness behind it. It was easy to tell how much effort one had to put into practice and how high one's talent was required to succeed in this simple move. As they looked at Xiao Chen, they no longer had the initial disdain. No matter what Xiao Chen's cultivation was, just this move was enough to win their respect. I'm not convinced. Just now, I was just careless. If I were given another chance, I don't believe that he can still catch it. Xiahou Yun stood up, his eyes filled with unwillingness as he felt the gazes of the surrounding people. He felt the gazes of the surrounding people as if they were looking at an idiot. To think that he was defeated by someone with 2 fingers. This was truly an extraordinary humiliation. Insolence. Senior Ma's face sank as he scolded angrily, Xiahou Yun, do you really not see it or are you pretending not to? His gentle pinch is much more exhausting than your sword strike. To think that you actually suggested trying again. Aren't you afraid of being mocked by others? Ha! If you try again and still catch it, then you will be utterly humiliated. There were also people who were not friendly with Xiahou Yun who spoke up at this moment. The azure-clad man, Leng Feng, smiled and said, Brother Xiahou, everyone knows your strength. No one will underestimate you because of today's matter. This move of Xiao Chen's was indeed beautiful. If it were me, I might not be able to pierce him either. It could be seen that Leng Feng's position in the team was rather high. Not willing to affect the harmony of the team, his words were also to give Xiahou Yun a way out. Most importantly, he said that he could not pierce Xiao Chen either, leaving Xiahou Yun with a lot of face. Xiahou Yun knew that this was the only way, so he could only go with the flow and say, Xiao Chen's strength is indeed strong. I have no objections to him joining the team. Senior Ma turned his head and whispered a few words to Leng Feng. Leng Feng had a smile on his face, nodding continuously. After a while, Senior Ma said with a smile, since no one has any objections, then Xiao Chen will officially become a member of our Starfire group from today onwards. De Lu, prepare a residence for young Master Xiao. Reward Gu Yun with 5,000 medial-grade Lingyu, 100 blaze crystals, a stalk of blood flame grass, and a blood flame fruit. Big Lu was the brawny man who had been sent flying by Xiao Chen at the beginning. Gu Yun, who had accepted Xiao Chen into the group, was overjoyed when he heard of this reward and quickly bowed to express his thanks. Disperse. Senior Ma waved his hand and said a few words to Xiao Chen before leaving. On the roof, the masked bladesman known as the Ghost Saber looked at Xiao Chen, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. His figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. Leng Feng walked over slowly and said, looks like we are really fated. It has been 3 months since we last met. I did not expect to meet you again so soon. Xiao Chen said, we are indeed fated. Has young Master Leng been in the northern city for the past 3 months? Leng Feng shook his head and sighed softly, I just returned. This time, I ran into another team. Not only did I suffer heavy casualties, but I also did not obtain any benefits. Xiao Chen thought to himself, it looks like there are not always fortuitous encounters in this dragon flame ancient land. Leng Feng smiled and said, I know what you are waiting for. Wait for another 2 months. In another 2 months, the ancient transportation formation in Dragon Flame City will open. At that time, we can directly teleport to many unexplored places in the Dragon Flame ancient land. An ancient transportation formation? That's right. That is a transportation formation that the dragon race built when they were still ruling this place. However, it is very old and activates only once every few decades. Recently, it has been activated only once every 100 years. Leng Feng said sullenly, the various teams have already returned to the city and started to recruit. I have been waiting for this moment. Hence, when Senior Ma saw you join, he was exceptionally happy. After chatting for a while, Leng Feng also took his leave. This place really used to be the conferred land of the dragon race. However, for some reason, why did the dragon race give up on this place? Xiao Chen wondered which of the 6 bloodlines of the dragon race once ruled this place. Xiaochen thought to himself, becoming increasingly interested in this dragon flame ancient land. Flame dragon? There did not seem to be such a dragon. Of the 6 colored dragon races, the red dragon was of the fire attribute. It was possible that the bloodline mutated and gave birth to a flame dragon. After thinking about it, this place was most likely the former territory of the red dragons. However, that was hard to say. Just the words, dragon flame, could not provide much information. Any dragon could spit out dragon flame and refine fire. However, they would not be as strong and proficient as the red dragon bloodline. Young Master Xiao, your residence has already been arranged. I'll bring you over. When the man guarding the door saw Xiaochen again, he was very respectful, not daring to act rashly. Xiaochen collected his thoughts and nodded. Lead the way, then. There were many empty rooms and pavilions in the courtyard. Everything a cultivator needed was available. There was a meditation room, a small alchemy room, and a gravity room. Although it was small, it was complete. It was even more complete than the courtyard that Xiaochen snatched from the southern city. Xiaochen felt very satisfied. After dismissing the man, he entered the meditation room to cultivate. After entering closed-door cultivation for 7 days and exhausting more than 10,000 medial-grade spirit jades, Xiaochen felt the bottleneck of the peak minor primal core realm weaken significantly. He was now one step closer to breaking through to the major primal core realm. The exquisite primal core in Xiaochen's dantian was decorated with 9 stars, looking boundlessly resplendent. Advancing from the minor primal core realm to the major primal core realm was not a qualitative breakthrough. It was just that the amount of veritable essence energy that one could use would increase significantly. It was like a container becoming larger, able to store more energy. For cultivators, this would significantly increase their combat prowess. They would not feel any heartache when using all sorts of killing moves. Some killing moves that could not be practiced due to the amount of veritable essence energy could be learned. If Xiaochen broke through to the major primal core realm, he was confident of practicing the 3rd move of the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique, entering hell. There are still 2 more months. That is more than enough time to break through to the major primal core realm. There is no need to rush. Xiaochen opened his eyes and muttered to himself, what I need now are ancient dragon bones. I can start cultivating the divine dragon body tempering art's 2nd layer. Xiaochen had already finished cultivating the divine dragon body tempering art's 1st layer. Now, he officially started cultivating the 2nd layer, cultivating the dragon bones. There was a total of 206 bones in the human body. What Xiaochen needed to do now was to cultivate all of them to the level of the ancient dragon race's dragon bones. After cultivating the dragon bones, the physical body's ability to withstand damage would increase significantly. Cultivating the dragon bones was something that lasted for a lifetime. Before one's cultivation reached a certain level, one could only cultivate the dragon bones to the color of blue. As one's cultivation increased, the dragon bones would continuously grow stronger, eventually turning into the noble golden dragon bones. Finally, when one returned to their natural state, the dragon bones would return to their normal color. Right now, Xiaochen did not have such a high goal. He only wanted to cultivate the dragon bones to the color of blue and then cover his entire body, forming a complete dragon skeleton. If Xiaochen had some supplementary materials for cultivating the 2nd layer, he would be able to cultivate it even faster. With sufficient dragon bones and some rare herbs, Xiaochen could turn all the bones in his body blue in 2 months. At that time, when the ancient transportation formation opened and he entered the inner region, his strength would increase significantly. After leaving, Xiaochen went to look for Senior Ma, who was currently busy, and explained his purpose for coming. You want the true dragon remains? Xiaochen shook his head and replied, they are not true dragon remains. They are great desolate Aeon dragon bones. True dragons could not even compare to the 6-colored divine dragons. Xiaochen did not care for their remains. What Xiaochen needed was the great desolate Aeon, when the 10,000 races fought for supremacy. Those were the dragon bones of the pure-blooded dragon race, not the bones of cultivators with dragon race bloodlines. The true dragon remains left in the Kunlun realm could not compare to the pure-blooded dragon bones of the great desolate Aeon. Senior Ma's eyes flickered as he said, "It might be difficult in other places. However, it is not difficult in this dragon flame ancient land." Many people guess that this dragon flame ancient land was a battlefield of the great desolate Aeon in the past, as people occasionally found fragments of great desolate Aeon dragon bones in the depths of the dragon flame ancient land. "How many spirit jades do you have? I'll send people to collect them for you. I still have some connections in Dragon Flame City." After all, Senior Ma was a Star Venerate level expert. Furthermore, he managed such a large team in the northern city. He had many more connections than Xiao Chen. However, based on Senior Ma's expression, he only treated this as a business deal and did not intend to let Xiao Chen benefit. After all, Senior Ma did not have much of a friendship with Xiao Chen. The so-called team was free to come and go, and there was no direct relationship. Perhaps Senior Ma himself would leave Dragon Flame City if they ran into some great fortuitous encounter. At that time, the team would immediately disband. Xiao Chen had a clear mind. He said, "The more, the better. No matter how many pure-blooded dragon bones there are, I can take them all." "Good. I'll give you the results 3 days later." "Deal." As Senior Ma watched Xiao Chen leave, he entered deep thought. This fellow's origins are unknown. His cultivation is not high, but he is unfathomable. His tone is also startlingly bold. Even when facing a Star Venerate, Xiao Chen remained calm and collected, not showing any servile behavior. Xiao Chen hoped that Senior Ma did not recruit an ingrate. There were many cases of traitors appearing in teams in Dragon Flame City. Under the temptation of benefits, no one could be completely trusted. However, there was no need to pay too much attention to this Xiao Chen. After all, he was only a peak minor primal core cultivator, far from Senior Ma's level. The ones that Senior Ma truly needed to be wary of were Ling Feng, the Ghost Saber, and the others, existences that could threaten him. Senior Ma just treated obtaining pure-blooded dragon bones for Xiao Chen as a business deal. If the other party's strength increased, it would be a good thing for the team. After thinking for a long time, Senior Ma personally supervised this matter for Xiao Chen. 3 days later, Xiao Chen ran all over Dragon Flame City. Using his connections, he collected all the pure-blooded dragon bones that he could. There are 30 pure-blooded dragon bones. Check them yourself. Several of them are perfectly preserved spine bones. 3 days later, Senior Ma showed Xiao Chen the pure-blooded dragon bones he collected. Senior Ma revealed a cocky expression. Only he could collect so many pure-blooded dragon bones in such a short time. Collecting 30 true dragon skeletons. If it were anyone else, they would not be able to do so. Who knew? Disappointment flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. There are not many, but it should be enough. Many thanks, Senior Ma. An embarrassed expression flashed on Senior Ma's face. Then, he smiled and said, "Your tone is really extraordinary. A total of 3 million spirit jades." Xiao Chen gave Senior Ma a strange look. However, he did not say anything. After handing over the spirit jades, he turned and left. Chapter 1732. After breaking through the bottleneck, Xiao Chen's veritable essence energy cleansed his entire body, raising his physical body and physique to another level. During the ancient times, this type of transport formation was called a Dao platform. It could move through the 3,000 great realms, roam the 7 great forbidden seas, travel between the 2 realms of Yin and Yang. Ling Feng looked at the terrible surroundings and asked, "Senior Ma, where are we now?" Another 3 days passed, and the 10 dragon bones were successfully transformed. After returning to his residence, Xiao Chen entered closed-door cultivation and started to cultivate the divine dragon body tempering art's 2nd layer. After chatting for a while, Meng Zhuang took his leave. Spiritual qi gathered and converged toward Xiao Chen in the eye of the formation, turning into streams. A terrifying dragon roar could be heard, and all the bones in Xiao Chen's body crackled. Dragon might spread out from Xiao Chen's body as if it was corporeal. We can only pray for good luck. Furthermore, Senior Ma is very experienced. He went to the depths of the dragon flame ancient land in the past and knows how to dodge. The dragon bones and dragon tendons in Xiao Chen's body seem to have some kind of connection to the will of the divine dragon, making him feel closer to the dragon pattern cauldron. The experts of Dragon Flame City already gathered nearby. The Dao platform flickered with light as batch after batch of the city's cultivators were sent to an unknown region of the Dragon Flame ancient land. A moment later, the Dao platform's body glowed with divine light, and a door of light appeared. Ling Feng nodded. Not only are all the strong groups in Dragon Flame City preparing to go all out, but many rank 5 sects and noble clans in the Great Thousand Realms are also using the activation of the ancient teleportation formation as a experiential training for themselves. Xiao Chen's entire body, from the inside to the outside, became radiant. As Xiao Chen passed through the door, he immediately felt his body and soul sink. His entire body formed a complete divine dragon skeleton. There were always some fragments that, due to various reasons, didn't lose their ancient aura, surviving until now. The early-stage major primal core realm is finally not the minor primal core realm. I still have to catch up. Xiao Chen regained his calm. His aura was the same as before he went into seclusion. More importantly, cultivating this divine dragon body tempering art also tempered his vital qi. 1 hour later, all the medial grade spirit jades in the formation had weathered away. Using the pure blood dragon bones, it took him a month and a half to completely transform the dragon bones. Assemble. What about Gui Dao? Rival a star venerate? Old Ma was in high spirits. Beside him was Xiahou Feng, whom Ling Feng and Meng Zhuang had spoken of. Xiao Chen put away the dragon pattern cauldron and took out medial grade spirit jades. Then, he placed them in the formation of the cultivation room. Meng Zhuang introduced politely. That day, Xiao Chen caught Xiahou Yun's sword with 2 fingers. Meng Zhuang had seen it with his own eyes. There were many strong people in the team. Existences that could rival star venerates definitely had something extraordinary about them. Coupled with the ample preparation time, the process of breaking through the bottleneck was smooth and uneventful. Any specialized cultivation room would have a formation similar to a spirit gathering formation, which could absorb the spiritual essence in the spirit jades more efficiently. Every day, Xiao Chen would observe the dragon pattern cauldron and experience the will of the divine dragon. He would consume the dragon bones and speed up his cultivation of the divine dragon body tempering art. The great wasteland continent shattered into countless fragments, forming tens of thousands of great worlds. The Dao platform could only unleash 10 to 20% of its power. Old Man Ma's opening price of 3 million spirit jades was truly a scam for him. This slightly startled Xiao Chen. There were at least 100 people in the entire team. His eyes gained some spirituality, looking spirited and able to see through people's hearts. His observation of things became more detailed and complete. All the sharpness in his eyes vanished. Xiao Chen gently knocked on the wooden table and muttered, "Rank 5 sects have sovereign personages holding down the fort. The noble clans of the dynasties all have the inheritances of their predecessors. All of them are not easy to deal with. If I run into them, it will be really difficult." The energy quickly flowed through all the meridians in Xiao Chen's body, heading for his 9-star primal core. The current Xiao Chen could not be said to be brand new, with no qualitative changes. However, his strength had increased by quite a bit. As Meng Zhuang said, Xiahou Feng's strength could not be underestimated. When he stood beside Old Ma, his aura was no weaker. With a thought, Xiao Chen withdrew his aura. After the talisman strips were distributed, someone on the Dao platform contacted Old Ma. Old Ma waved his hand, and everyone ascended the Dao platform. Meng Zhuang thought very highly of Old Ma's strength and experience. Xiao Chen's seated cross-legged body slowly floated up. His long hair fluttered, and he showed a solemn expression. Is it because of the activation of the ancient transportation formation? Meng Zhuang paused for a moment before continuing, however, not many came. The depths of the Dragon Flame Ancient Land are very vast. It will not be easy to run into them. However, right now, the dragon characters were incomplete, and the tall platform was dilapidated, showing the vicissitudes of history. Xiaochen opened his eyes and looked at the dragon pattern cauldron before him again. He vaguely felt even more moved. In half a month, he had converted half of the 206 bones. After another month, he had converted all the bones into dragon bones. Let's go. Xiaochen's vital qi increased from 5 cauldron force to 6 cauldron force. I am Meng Zhuang. I know that Brother Xiao lives next door and wanted to visit long ago. Unfortunately, Brother Xiao has been in closed-door cultivation for the past 2 months and could not find an opportunity. After a while, members of Old Ma's team appeared beside Xiaochen one after another. That's right. The time it takes to repair the ancient teleportation formation is getting longer and longer. This time, it took 100 years. Next time, it might take 200 years, even 500. Naturally, the nearby rank 5 sects and noble clans will not let go of this opportunity. However, without Old Man Ma's connections, Xiaochen would not have been able to obtain so many dragon bones in 3 days. Hence, Xiaochen did not say anything. If an outsider were here, they would find it hard to connect Xiaochen's current aura to the normally low-profile, reserved, white-clad youth. Xiaochen saw a boundless wasteland. It was dark and gloomy, with strong winds howling and dust spreading everywhere. When mentioning the dragon bones, Old Ma knew that he had tricked Xiaochen. He smiled in embarrassment and continued distributing the talisman strips. Xiaochen muttered to himself, encouraging himself. 7 days later, the first bone was successfully converted into a blue dragon bone. Furthermore, our team ranks within the top 5 in Dragon Flame City's northern region. Aside from geniuses like Ling Feng, there is also Xiahou Feng. These 2 people are strong enough to rival Star Venerates. The spiritual light in the surroundings suddenly vanished. The resplendent and translucent 9-star primal core absorbed all the light. Old Ma started to distribute the talisman strips to everyone. When it was Xiaochen's turn, his sharp eyes noticed something different about Xiaochen. The ancient transportation formation, in the center of the northern region, when Xiaochen heard that, he felt slightly surprised. The rank 5 sects and the noble clans are all startled. Under the leadership of Old Ma, Ling Feng, and the other elites, the team started to gather at the colossal dragon. It's hard to say. The depths of the Dragon Flame Ancient Land are very vast. There are unknown regions everywhere. You all lead your own teams and carefully explore the surroundings. Don't take any risks. Meng Zhuang smiled and said, It's fine. Brother Xiao, after being in closed-door cultivation for 2 months, you probably do not know that a storm is brewing in the northern region of Dragon Flame City. Undercurrents are surging, and all sorts of people are gathering. It is not very peaceful. This person was Xiaochen's neighbor, an old man in Old Ma's team. An ancient and boundless great desolate Aeon dragon might surged out. This was an ancient aura that had gone through the baptism of many epochs during the great desolate Aeon and still did not fade. The cultivators in the same batch of Dao platforms would not be too far from each other. Each batch would be randomly sent to the depths of the Dragon Flame Ancient Land. After crossing many obstacles and entering the depths of the Dragon Flame Ancient Land, there would be fortuitous encounters. However, there would be even more danger. All of these were the benefits of cultivating the divine dragon body tempering art. After a while, Xiaochen opened his eyes, and a brilliant light flickered in them. A sharp light radiated from his entire body, and strong winds swept out in all directions. It was very rare for 2 batches of teams to be sent to the same location. 3 days later, all the members of Old Ma's team gathered. This was a tall platform that looked ancient and ancient, made of divine stones and treasure pillars. Ancient dragon characters carved on the platform looked majestic and unfathomable. This could be considered a familiar face. When adventuring in the future, they could take care of each other at crucial moments. This was a Taoist gate. After passing through this gate, one would enter the Dragon Flame Ancient Land, a mysterious hinterland that many people had never reached before. Young Master Xiao, your complexion looks pretty good. After 2 months of closed-door cultivation, your strength has improved significantly. Xiaochen did not have to worry about exhausting his veritable essence energy and could execute many killing moves. After filling up the grooves in the formation, Xiaochen closed his eyes and circulated the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation. These were the elites of the sects of the dozens of nearby astral clusters. None of them were simple. Xiaochen was rather satisfied with their speed. At this moment, he could only rely on the experienced old Ma. Xiahou Feng and Ling Feng, the 2 young experts, felt confused. The weakest among them was a major primal core venerate. All of them radiated sharpness and had calm auras. They were all outstanding geniuses capable of fighting above their cultivation realms. Xiaochen received the talisman strip and said indifferently, "I still have to thank old Ma for the dragon bones." Everyone sighed in amazement, feeling exceptionally shocked. The formation spun silently, flickering with a dazzling spiritual light between the patterns. This allowed Xiaochen's vital qi to contain the state of the divine dragon as he punched. The stirred veritable essence energy washed through his entire body, including his internal organs, every cell, and pore. A tyrannical aura spread out from within. Meng Zhuang revealed a doubtful expression. He shook his head and said, "I'm not sure." He has always been a lone ranger and does not have a strong presence. He only joined the team a few months ago and is not as experienced as Ling Feng and Xiahou Feng. Hearing Meng Zhuang talk about the team, Xiaochen asked about the masked bladesman. There is still half a month left. It is time to break through the minor primal core bottleneck. After old Ma entered, his expression turned rather grave. He had been to the depths of the hinterlands before and knew how dangerous it was. The dragon bones spun continuously, forming a huge whirlwind in Xiaochen's body. Of the 30-odd pure-blood dragon bones, only a few were remains. These would be worth 2 million medial-grade spirit jades at most. In the afternoon, when Xiaochen came out of closed-door cultivation, he unexpectedly received a visitor. Xiaochen had a firm foundation in the first place. There was no major bottleneck between the minor primal core realm and the major primal core realm. Practice makes perfect. After figuring out the ropes, Xiaochen's cultivation speed increased. Take this talisman strip and crush it when necessary. It can send you back to the Tao platform. It can be considered a life-saving talisman. However, activating this talisman requires some time. Remember, the fingernail-sized 9-star primal core was crystalline and translucent. As spiritual energy poured in, it flickered with resplendent and dazzling light. Chapter 1733. Under normal circumstances, if one wanted to enter the unknown region of the Dragon Flame Ancient Land, one would have to form a team and take it one step at a time. He passed through many dangerous forbidden areas and forcefully killed his way in. By the time they went deeper, they were already exhausted and couldn't even protect themselves, so they didn't have the energy to explore other places. Through the ancient transportation formation, one could be sent directly to the unknown lands of the Dragon Flame Ancient Land, saving a lot of effort. No matter what, we wouldn't be able to reach this place even if we had the ability to. Since we're already here, let's explore it properly. Don't act rashly. Senior Ma called out to the people in the team to form their own teams and explore the surroundings. Everyone formed teams of 2s and 3s with people they were familiar with and carefully explored the area. The martial artists who came here were all elites of the sects and had rich experience in the Jianghu. None of them were blinded by excitement. Not long after, the sounds of intense fighting could be heard. It was a few cultivators who had run into some unknown ferocious beast. Immediately, many of the stronger members of the team soared into the sky and rushed over to help. Xiaochen's gaze swept over, and his heavenly insight divine eye opened slightly as he took in the situation in the distance. A few strange flame wolves with blazing eyes swayed their tails as they fought with the cultivators on Senior Ma's team. That was a 3-tailed fire wolf. Its physical body had been cleansed by the dragon flame since it was young, and it was far stronger than its kind in the outside world. The ones he encountered now seemed to be even more powerful. Even when the major primal core venerates worked together, they found it hard to end the battle quickly. Only when a late-stage major primal core expert rushed over did they manage to kill these three-tailed fire wolves. This three-tailed fire wolf's body has been cleansed by the dragon flame, so it can be sold for a high price in the outside world. Especially the 3 fire tails, they are especially precious and can be used to forge fire-type Dao soldiers. After killing the three-tailed fire wolf, everyone revealed joyful expressions as they divided the materials. After that, they were attacked by many ferocious beasts one after another. Everyone in the party was cautious, and they weren't too far away from each other. Most of them were scared but not in danger, and no one was hurt. Xiao Chen and Meng Zhuang were in the same team, and it was rather peaceful. There were no dangerous incidents. Suddenly, Xiao Chen stopped. He frowned as he sensed a dangerous aura. Boom! The ground split open, and a serpent covered in fiery patterns with a horn on its head charged out. It's a flame jiao snake. Everyone, be careful. Meng Zhuang shouted and leaped into the air, throwing a punch at the flame jiao snake. His aura surged as he punched out. It was as if a meteor had fallen to the ground with great force. With a boom, the flame jiao snake was sent flying by Meng Zhuang's punch. When it landed on the ground, it kicked up a cloud of dust. The people in the team quickly took the opportunity to retreat. After the flame dragon serpent landed on the ground, it turned its body a few times, flicked its tongue, and pounced over again. Xiao Chen's eyes were sharp. He found that the place where the snake had just been hit had only a few subtle marks. He couldn't see any injuries. Xiao! Lightly pushing off the ground, Xiao Chen roared. The dragon bones in his body creaked as he gathered his strength and punched out. The dragon tendons carried 6 cauldron force as they surged out. At the same time, a berserk dragon might spread out. Boom! Dragon might mixed with 6 cauldron force and struck the flame jiao snake. If this punch landed on a regular major primal core venerate, it would be sufficient to send them flying and shatter their internal organs. However, this flame jiao snake's defense was startling. The flame patterns on its skin flickered like flowing water. The flame jiao snake flew around a few times in the air before charging over again. Xiao Chen shouted coldly, and a faint layer of purple flames covered his entire body. Then, with a flash, he landed on the flame jiao snake's head. Xiao Chen stretched out his hand, and the 7 deadly sins quickly gathered, infused with great Dao energy. Then, he stabbed down without hesitation. Pu Ci. Blood spurted out. The saber entered the flame jiao snake by 3 centimeters, but it could not go any deeper. Brother Xiao, be careful. Just at this moment, Meng Zhuang shouted anxiously. A strong wind blew by Xiao Chen's ears, and a heat wave surged into the air. The flame jiao snake's tail was like a flaming tornado chopping at him. Xiao Chen drew his saber back to defend. Then, he ruthlessly swung his saber and clashed with this snake tail, which contained huge force. Bang! The flaming tornado scattered, and the saber light left a long, bloody wound on the snake tail. Xiao Chen used the force to fly back. Then, he somersaulted a few times in the air and dissipated the force. When Meng Zhuang saw the situation, his expression relaxed. Then, he worked together with Xiao Chen to deal with this flame jiao snake. After a long, intense battle, this flame jiao snake finally submitted. The two were incredibly fatigued. The flame jiao snake's defense and life force were incredibly startling. Fighting it was not easy at all. Of course, this was also because Xiao Chen had not used his full power. If Xiao Chen used his full power now, then there would be no need to explore this dragon flame ancient land. Brother Zhao's strength is truly admirable. If I ran into this flame jiao snake alone, my chances of victory would be slim, Meng Zhuang said with lingering fear in his heart. The flame Jiao snake's combat prowess already rivaled that of a peak major primal core cultivator. Furthermore, it was in this dragon flame ancient land, so its strength was even more terrifying. Meng Zhuang's words were not humble at all. Xiaoqin smiled, tacitly agreeing. Then, he called out to the team and started to split up the flame Jiao snake's corpse. As expected, Xiaoqin put in the most effort and obtained the most precious flame Jiao snake's king horn. The exploration proceeded in an orderly manner. This was not the first time Senior Ma's team was on a mission. Everything was done in an orderly manner. The division of labor was clear, and the harvest was pretty good. However, everyone knew that this was just a small fight. If it ended like this, the Heavenly Palace would not be able to deal with it. If this ended like this, they would have to find a great fortuitous encounter to activate the ancient transportation formation that activated only once every 100 years. After most of the day, everyone's mouths were dry. They had exhausted a significant amount of physical strength and energy. This place drained them even more than the outside world. When Senior Ma saw the situation, he waved his hand and said, "Let's rest for a while. It is still early, there is no rush." Everyone was tired, so they drank water and rested, replenishing their energy. Since coming here, they had not stopped. If they were not fighting, they were exploring the place. If they were not cultivators of the physical body, they would get tired easily. Xiaoqin remained calm as he drank a mouthful of water and casually looked around. He had not exhausted much energy. Where did so many ants come from? The resting cultivators suddenly discovered many fiery red ants crawling out of the cracks in the ground. These ants were not mutated beasts and did not have much offensive power. However, when they appeared in such a dense group, it was somewhat scary. Boom! 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 Several people could not bear to watch any longer, so they all made a move. Hence, large swathes of red ants were wiped out. "Stop!" Senior Ma shouted. When he saw these red ants, his expression immediately changed drastically. "Oh no! These are underground fire ants. They are very resistant to high temperatures. Under normal circumstances, they would not appear at all. They would not be able to endure the high temperature and leave the ground only before the dragon flame erupts." Dragon flame eruption. Hearing Senior Ma's words startled everyone. One of the scariest situations in the dragon flame ancient land was an underground dragon flame eruption. That scene, in this complicated and harsh environment, was simply hell on earth. The power of an individual. The strength of an individual appeared extremely insignificant in the eruption of dragon flame. The dragon flame erupts. We need to find a place with water to take refuge. Otherwise, we will all die. Quickly, search. Senior Ma's expression turned scarily sullen. The others were affected, feeling anxious for some reason as they started searching everywhere. Dragon flame eruption. Before coming here, Xiaoqin had obtained information on this. That was a mysterious phenomenon even more terrifying than a volcano eruption. This was because the thing erupting was the dragon flame true flame, which had accumulated for many tens of thousands of years. The demonic flame was known as the underground abyss. Wherever the dragon flame passed, it would destroy the world. Even a cloud sea star venerate would be burned to ashes on the spot if the underground dragon flame sprayed them, leaving nothing behind. No wonder Senior Ma was so nervous. Fortunately, Senior Ma was here. How could the others have such experience? If they could not discover the strange movements of the fire ants in advance, they would not even know how they died. At the very least, they knew to find a place with water to take refuge. Senior Ma, there is a rather large lake 150 kilometers to the north. At this crucial moment, Xiaoqin could not hide anything. He withdrew his heavenly eye and told Senior Ma about the lake he saw. "Are you sure?" Xiaoqin replied indifferently, "This concerns life and death. Why would I interfere?" Not wanting to waste time, Senior Ma shouted, "Gather up and follow me." To these geniuses and outstanding talents, 150 kilometers would take no more than a cup of tea to traverse in the outside world. However, traveling in the depths of this dragon flame ancient land was extremely arduous. Ancient dragon might was everywhere. This deterred them from flying casually as it drained them greatly. They could only do simple jumps and glides. The air clearly turned drier. Everyone was covered in sweat, and their throats felt like they were on fire. No one dared to doubt that the dragon flame would erupt again. This was already a very clear sign. Senior Ma, there is water in front. There really is water. After 150 kilometers, the group indeed saw a rather vast lake. Senior Ma smiled and said, "Xiao Chen, you saved everyone." Xiahou Feng and Leng Feng looked at Xiao Chen in surprise. There really was water. Even with the two's eyesight, they could not see so far in this place. They wondered how Xiao Chen saw it. Xiao Chen showed a calm expression, not revealing anything. He only said some polite words to Senior Ma and did not say anything else. Whoosh! 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 Everyone flew up and stood in the center of the lake. Then, Senior Ma instructed calmly, "Water-attributed and ice-attributed cultivators, stand to my left. Wind-attributed cultivators, stand to my right. The rest, stand behind me." Someone comprehended the water great Dao? Or perhaps a water-attributed Dao tool? Right after Senior Ma spoke, a person stepped forward and pointed to the sword in his hand, indicating that he had a water-attributed Dao tool. Senior Ma nodded and said, "Very good. Later, you will lead these water-attributed and ice-attributed cultivators. Wind-attributed cultivators, remember to create strong winds and do your best to scatter the dragon flame. The other cultivators will work together to form the final barrier." Rumble. Suddenly, the world trembled. The people standing on the water could not control their bodies, swaying left and right. A beam of fiery light soared into the sky in the distance. Closely following that, 1 beam, 2 beams, 3 beams, countless beams of dragon flame erupted from the ground. The flames dyed the world like it was the end of the world. The clouds for 5,000 kilometers around surged, looking like they were burning through the sky. Overwhelming heat waves mixed with berserk dragon might swept out in all directions. No matter where one hid, they could not avoid it. Many of the panicking strong ferocious beasts melted on the spot, leaving only their skeletons. At the crucial moment, Senior Ma spread out his will of soul and encased everyone. He said, "Attack. Quickly attack. Follow my instructions and get into formation." Chapter 1734. Enveloped by Senior Ma's will of soul, the pressure on the lake immediately lessened significantly. The youth holding the water-attributed Dao tool drew his sword, stirring up all the water in the lake. This formed an incomparably huge water tornado encircling everyone. Everyone who cultivated water-attributed cultivation techniques used their power at the same time. They infused their veritable essence energy into the berserk water tornado. The ice-attributed cultivators all brought out their mysterious phenomena. Snowflakes drifted down, causing cold chi to spread out. Wind. At the same time, the cultivators who cultivated wind-attributed cultivation techniques formed a wind barrier around the water tornado. Everyone did not care about their veritable essence energy expenditure, doing their best to endure. Under Senior Ma's lead, Xiao Chen and the others formed the final veritable essence energy line of defense. The strong wind was the outermost layer, the water tornado and ice were the second layer, and the veritable essence energy shield was the third layer. The defense already reached the limit of the entire team. However, no one dared to lower their guard or be careless. The scene of the dragon flame eruption destroying so many ferocious beasts in that instant was still fresh in their minds, sending a chill down their spines. No one knew how long the dragon flame eruption would last, so they could only persevere. Rumble. Intense explosions rang out outside. That was the sound of the strong wind clashing with the dragon flame. Rumble. Rumble. A few of the weaker wind-attributed cultivators immediately found it hard to endure. Blood leaked out of their mouths, and their complexions paled. 4 hours later, the outermost wind barrier broke, unable to provide protection for the water tornado. However, the water tornado was driven by that youth holding the Dao tool. It contained a complete Great Dao. Furthermore, with the help of the many water-attributed cultivators and ice-attributed cultivators, it could be considered the firmest defense. Outside the barrier, dragon roars resounded in the sky. The horrifying dragon might shook the surroundings. Every time the dragon flame erupted, a loud sound accompanied it. It was an experiential training for the hearts of the people. Several cultivators with weaker mental states even activated their great desolate Aeon bloodlines amid the continuous roars to resist. The people on the lake all had a hard time, including Senior Ma. Only Xiao Chen was not one of them. Xiao Chen possessed the blue dragon bloodline and did not care about ordinary dragon might in the first place. Not only did the dragon's might not deter him, but it also did not seem to have any effect on him. Instead, Xiao Chen felt a sense of familiarity. The bloodline in his body seemed to be ignited by the dragon roar outside, boiling endlessly. However, he could vaguely sense that something was wrong. He couldn't tell what was wrong. The great desolate Aeon dragon might still existed. Xiao Chen could not help but think to himself, just the remnant dragon might is already so strong. I wonder how strong a true pure-blooded dragon race cultivator is. The dragon flame eruption lasted for half a day. If the eruption continued for a period of time, no one could guarantee that they would be able to hold on. Senior Ma stretched out his hand and smacked it, shattering the frozen waterspout with cracking sounds. The scenery of the outside world reappeared in the vision of Xiao Chen and the others. The original lake had disappeared, and the ground was covered with thick limestone. The terrain had changed greatly. The original tall mountains no longer existed and had become flat land. The wasteland became a sunken basin, the landform in his memory. In the short span of half a day, it had completely changed. The sky was bright red. The flaming clouds formed by the dragon flame would not scatter quickly. Occasionally, strong winds blew, and the clouds shattered. Then, a rain of fire containing the dragon flame fell. The dragon flame was very scary. Even though it had weakened significantly, it still inspired fear. Everyone looked around and became distracted for a while. This was indeed somewhat shocking. Who would have thought that in just half a day's time, the world would be turned upside down, the situation completely changed. The blue sea turns into mulberry fields in a single thought. Senior Ma could not help sighing softly, feeling moved in his heart. Before such mighty power, even a star venerate like Xiao Chen felt insignificant with his individual strength. Whoosh! Just at this moment, an azure light emerged from the ground in the distance, disappearing in a flash. The azure light appeared for a very short time, so fast that it was practically undetectable. However, the people present all had excellent eyesight. Practically all of them caught sight of that azure light. Clearly, the azure light appearing on the flat land was extraordinary. Many people turned their gazes to the experienced Senior Ma, who had been here once before. Senior Ma did not disappoint. After thinking for a while, he said, "It's Dragon Chi." The dragon flame eruption changed the mountains and rivers on the surface. Similarly, it also changed the geomancy world below. There have been rumors that an ancient dragon city was buried in the depths of the dragon flame ancient land. We might have run into it. Ling Feng frowned and said, "A dragon city?" Senior Ma nodded. "That's right. It's a dragon city. I heard that this soaring dragon great realm was once the conferred land of a certain divine dragon bloodline. That divine dragon bloodline was the strongest bloodline in the history of the dragon race. Later, it declined and disappeared for some reason. However, no matter what, this dragon flame ancient land has many connections with that mysterious dragon race. In the past, I heard that someone saw a dragon city in the depths of the dragon flame ancient land. Unfortunately, the terrain of this dragon flame ancient land changes frequently. We might see it occasionally, but the next time we see it might be in our next life. If it really is a dragon city, then we are very lucky." Senior Ma revealed a look of joy on his face. He seemed somewhat excited. Despite his age, Senior Ma was still putting in so much effort, gambling on a chance. If he failed this time, then his cultivation would stop at the Star Venerate realm, unable to advance further in this life. Senior Ma had waited for this opportunity for many years. His mood was easy to imagine. Xiahou Feng said, I know about the dragon race's 6-colored divine dragons. Could there be another bloodline? Ling Feng also looked at Senior Ma in confusion. He had never heard of this before. Senior Ma's expression already recovered its calm. He said indifferently, when you go back and ask your elders, you will know. I lost myself earlier. Even if there really is a dragon city, who knows what remains after tens of thousands of years. They did not hide their conversation. Hence, Xiao Chen, who was not far away, heard it as well. Xiao Chen's heart immediately thumped heavily. Blue Dragon. It's a blue dragon. This was once the conferred land of the Blue Dragon bloodline. The Blue Dragon bloodline was the master of this dragon flame ancient land. No wonder Xiao Chen felt a familiar smell the moment he entered the dragon flame ancient land. Senior Ma, we found the place where the dragon Qi appeared. A startled cry made Senior Ma raise his eyebrows, instantly stopping his conversation with Ling Feng and Xiahou Feng. Whoosh! Senior Ma's figure flashed, and he quickly headed for the source of the sound. Xiahou Feng and Ling Feng exchanged glances with one another, their eyes filled with disbelief. Could it be that the dragon race really has an unknown divine dragon bloodline? This dragon flame ancient land was once one of the other party's conferred lands. After thinking for a while, the two quickly followed. Everyone on the team gathered over. Senior Ma, we saw it clearly just now. Another azure light appeared right here. However, it is even weaker and very hard to notice. That person pointed to a crack in the ground as he spoke to Senior Ma. Senior Ma thought for a while before spitting out one word, dig. The moment Senior Ma gave the order, everyone on the team immediately worked together and started digging with all their might. Before Senior Ma's grave expression, the ground quickly opened up, and that weak crack continuously widened. When the team dug to 200 meters, a cold wind blew from below. We got through. The presence of wind meant that there was a huge space below with good air flow. As the team continued digging, a passageway with clear signs of human activity appeared, eliciting joy on everyone's faces. Ancient Dragon City. It is definitely a dragon city. Senior Ma revealed a joyful expression as he took the lead and entered the passageway. The team followed the passageway forward. After a long journey, they finally reached the end of the passageway. When the team looked around, they found themselves in a vast city. Azure floorboards lined the ground, and pavilions, shops, inns, and restaurants surrounded them. This was a well-preserved ancient city. However, because they were deep underground, most of the place was dark. However, this did not prevent everyone from feeling the majesty and beauty of this city back then. It was probably no weaker than Dragon Flame City. In fact, it might even surpass Dragon Flame City. Ling Feng sized up the surroundings and sighed softly, it really is an ancient dragon city. The architectural style is even more ancient than Dragon Flame cities.